When a mafia queen gives up everything for love, she thinks she's found happiness. But the day he says, "She's pregnant with my child," it all crumbles. Not because of the betrayal, but because she realizes how weak she has been. This is the story of Serafina Moretti, the woman who built an empire for a traitor, then returns to the past to reclaim it all. Not with tears, but with absolute power. Watch to the end, and comment the city you're watching from, so I know how far this story has come. The rain came down like broken glass that night. Not the kind of rain that washed things clean, the kind that cut. It hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Atherton mansion, each drop a tiny accusation, until the whole night sounded like static. Inside, the house was silent except for that rain. Silent in the way expensive things go silent when they're about to shatter. Serafina Moretti stood in the center of the living room, barefoot on Italian marble that cost more per square foot than most people made in a month. She wasn't moving, hadn't moved in maybe 10 minutes, just stood there with her arms loose at her sides, head tilted slightly like she was listening to something only she could hear. Her dress was black, simple, expensive, the kind of thing that didn't need to announce itself. Her dark hair fell in waves past her shoulders, still damp from the shower she'd taken an hour ago. Before everything changed, across from her, Ethan Cole sat on the edge of a leather chair that cost $18,000. His hands were clasped between his knees. His head was down. He looked like a man who'd just run a marathon through hell and come out the other side with nothing to show for it but shame. "Say it again," Serafina said. Her voice was soft. Too soft. The kind of soft that made your spine go cold. Ethan's jaw worked. He didn't look up. "Lena's pregnant. And it's yours." "Yes." Serafina nodded slowly. Once. Twice. Like she was processing data. Like this was a business transaction gone wrong, and she was calculating her next move. The rain kept hammering. Somewhere in the house, a clock ticked. She could hear her own breathing, steady, controlled. The way she'd learned to breathe when she was 7 years old and her father's men were teaching her not to flinch when guns went off. "How long?" she said. "Sarah, how long?" Ethan flinched at her tone. Good, he should. 6 months. 6 months. Serafina felt something crack inside her chest. Not her heart, that had cracked the moment he'd walked through the door 2 hours ago with guilt written all over his face like graffiti. This was something else. Something deeper. The last threat of the person she'd tried to become when she'd left everything behind for him. She'd been 23 when they met. He'd been 28, already making waves in Silicon Valley with his second startup, already on the cover of magazines with headlines like "The Next Steve Jobs" and "Disruption Personified." She'd been at a charity gala in San Francisco, one of those glittering nightmares where rich people pretended to care about poor people for 3 hours while drinking champagne that cost more than a used car. She'd gone because her father had insisted. "You need to understand this world," Vittorio Moretti had told her. "The legal world, the clean world, know your enemies." Oh, she hadn't expected to fall in love. But Ethan had been different back then. Or she'd thought he was. He'd approached her at the bar, no pickup line, no performance. Just, "You look like you'd rather be anywhere else." And she'd laughed, actually laughed, and said, "You're not wrong." They'd talked for 2 hours. He told her about his company, about wanting to change how people communicated, about making technology that actually helped instead of hurt. She told him she worked in import-export, which wasn't technically a lie. He'd never asked what kind of imports, what kind of exports. 3 months later, she'd told her father she was leaving. Vittorio Moretti didn't raise his voice. He never did. He just looked at her across his mahogany desk in the study that smelled like cigar smoke and old violence and said, "You understand what you're throwing away." "I do. The Rinaldi arrangement, I know. Dante won't forget this insult." "I don't care about Dante." Her father had studied her for a long time. Then he'd nodded. "You'll come back," he'd said. Not a threat, a prediction. "When this boy breaks your heart," and he will, Serafina, because men like him don't understand what they have until it's gone, "you'll come back. And I'll be waiting." She'd told him he was wrong. 5 years later, she was standing in a mansion she'd helped build, listening to her husband confess he'd gotten another woman pregnant, and all she could think was, Papa was right. "Does she know?" Serafina asked. Her voice still soft, still controlled. About what? About me. About who I really am. Ethan's head snapped up. For the first time since this conversation started, he looked at her, really looked at her. There was fear in his eyes. No, God, no. I would never. But she knows you're married. He didn't answer. Didn't need to. Serafina walked to the window. The rain was coming down harder now, turning the manicured lawn into a swamp. She could see her reflection in the glass, a ghost of a woman, pale and hollow-eyed. Behind her, Ethan's reflection sat hunched and small. I built this for you, she said. Not to him. To the reflection. All of it, every connection, every backdoor deal, every investor who said yes when they should have said no, that was me. You know that, right? Sarah, answer the question, Ethan. Yes. His voice cracked. Yes, I know. She turned, looked at him, really looked, and saw what she should have seen years ago. A man who'd never actually loved her. A man who'd loved what she could do for him. The doors she could open. The problems she could make disappear. She'd used her father's connections, her old family's reach, to build Ethan's empire. Legitimate businesses fronting for the money laundering networks she'd helped establish. Politicians on the payroll. Competitors who mysteriously lost funding right before crucial deals. She'd done it all, and she'd told herself it was different because it was for love. Because Ethan was good, because he was clean. But there was no such thing as clean money. She'd known that. Had always known it. When were you going to tell me? She asked. Ethan stood, took a step toward her. She didn't move. I didn't know how. Jesus, Sarah, I didn't plan this. It just happened. Lena and I, we were working late on the acquisition deal, and Lena Varelli. He stopped, blinked. You know her? I know everyone you work with, Ethan. I made it my business to know. She tilted her head. Lena Varelli, 27, marketing executive. Started with your company 8 months ago. Came highly recommended by Victor Salazar. Something flickered across Ethan's face, just for a second. Then it was gone. Serafina filed that away. She was good at filing things away. It was a skill you learned young when you grew up in a world where information was currency and secrets were weapons. What do you want me to say? Ethan's voice was rising now, frustration bleeding through the guilt. That I'm sorry? I am. That I fucked up? I did. But I can't undo it, Sarah. She's pregnant. The baby's mine. I have to. You have to what? Serafina's voice was ice. Be a father? Build a life with her? What exactly do you think happens now? I want a divorce. There it was. The words that had been hovering in the air since he'd walked in. The rain seemed to get louder, like the whole world was holding its breath. Serafina laughed, not a bitter laugh, not a hurt laugh, a genuine laugh, soft and terrible. A divorce, she repeated. You want a divorce. You deserve better than this. Better than me. Don't! Her voice cracked like a whip. Don't you dare try to make this about my feelings. You don't get to play the noble husband. You cheated. You lied. And now you want me to disappear so you can play house with your pregnant mistress. She stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne, the expensive one she'd bought him for his birthday last year. At least have the balls to admit what this is. Ethan's face went red. What do you want from me, Serafina? You want me to beg? Fine, I'm begging. I made a mistake. Mistakes are accidents, Ethan. 6 months isn't a mistake. It's a choice. She moved past him, grabbed her purse from the side table. I'll have my lawyer contact you tomorrow. Wait. He caught her arm. She looked down at his hand, then up at his face. He let go like she'd burned him. Where are you going? Does it matter? Sarah, please. Can we talk about this like adults? She almost hit him. The urge was so strong her hand actually twitched. But she didn't. Because hitting him would mean she cared. Would mean he still had power over her. And she was done giving this man power. I'll be out by morning, she said. Keep the house. Keep everything. I don't want any of it. She walked toward the door. Made it 3 steps before he spoke again. What about the company? She stopped. Didn't turn around. What about it? Your shares, your stake in the business. We need to figure it out with your lawyer. She pulled open the front door. The rain roared in like a living thing. Or don't. I really don't care anymore. Serafina, But she was already gone, walking out into the storm without an umbrella, without a coat, without anything but the clothes on her back and a purse containing her phone, her wallet, and a passport she hadn't looked at in 5 years. The one with her real name on it, the one that said Moretti instead of Cole. The rain soaked through her dress in seconds. She didn't care. Just walked to her car, a black Mercedes S-Class that Ethan had bought her for their anniversary, and got in. Sat there with water dripping from her hair, her hands on the steering wheel, breathing. She didn't cry. Crying was for women who had something left to lose. She drove. Didn't know where she was going, just drove. Through Atherton, past the other mansions with their gates and their guard dogs and their illusions of safety. Out onto the highway, heading north toward the city. The wipers couldn't keep up with the rain. The whole world was a blur of red taillights and streaming water and the white noise of her own thoughts. 6 months. He'd been fucking Lena Varelli for 6 months, while Serafina had been planning their anniversary trip to Monaco, while she'd been networking with investors for his next round of funding, while she'd been... Her phone rang. She almost didn't answer, but the number on the screen made her hand move before her brain could stop it. Serafina. Her father's voice, deep and calm and utterly unsurprised. I heard. Of course he had. Vittorio Moretti heard everything. It was how he'd survived 40 years in a business where most men didn't make it past 10. I don't want to talk about it, she said. Then don't talk. Listen. A pause. She could hear him breathing on the other end, steady, patient. Come home. I don't have a home anymore. You've always had a home, Piccola. You just forgot where it was. Another pause, longer this time. There's a plane waiting for you at San Jose. Private terminal, gate 7. It'll take you wherever you want to go. She should say no, should hang up, should prove that she could handle this herself, that she didn't need him, didn't need any of them. But she was so tired. Where would I go? She asked. Where you belong. She closed her eyes. Papa, no explanations necessary. No apologies. Just come home. Let me handle the rest. Handle what? Whatever needs handling. His voice was gentle, the way it used to be when she was a child and had nightmares. You're my daughter, Serafina. That never changed. Not when you left. Not now. You're blood. And blood doesn't abandon blood. She wanted to argue, wanted to tell him she could fix this herself. But the truth was, she didn't want to fix it. She wanted to burn it all down. Gate 7, she said. Gate 7. I'll call ahead. They'll be expecting you. He hung up. She sat there in the car with rain hammering the roof, phone still pressed to her ear, and felt something shift inside her. Something that had been buried for 5 years. Something cold and sharp and absolutely lethal. Ethan thought he could throw her away. Thought she was just some woman he'd met at a party. Some trophy wife who'd smile and sign the papers and fade quietly into obscurity. He had no idea who she really was. But he was about to find out. She started the car, pulled back onto the highway, headed toward San Jose, toward the plane, toward home. The flight was smooth, too smooth. Serafina sat in the leather seat of the Gulfstream G650, watching the lights of California disappear beneath clouds, and felt nothing. Not sadness, not anger, just a cold crystalline clarity that settled over her like armor. The flight attendant, a young woman with perfect makeup and a practiced smile, brought her champagne. She didn't drink it, just held the glass and watched the bubbles rise and pop, endless and pointless. We'll be landing in Palermo in approximately 9 hours, Mrs. Cole, the attendant said. Is there anything else I can get you? It's Moretti, Serafina said quietly. Not Cole. Not anymore. The attendant's smile didn't waver, but something changed in her eyes. Recognition, maybe, or fear. Of course, Miss Moretti. My apologies. After she left, Serafina pulled out her phone, opened her contacts, scrolled to a name she hadn't looked at in years. Dante Rinaldi. Her finger hovered over the call button. She didn't press it. Not yet. But soon. She leaned back in the seat, closed her eyes, and let herself remember. She'd been 8 years old the first time she'd met Dante. He'd been 13, already tall, already serious, already carrying himself like someone who understood what wait felt like. It had been at one of those formal dinners that the families held, the kind where children were expected to be seen and not heard, where the men talked business over wine that cost more than cars, and the women smiled and pretended not to understand what was being discussed. Dante had found her hiding in the garden. "You're not supposed to be out here," he'd said. Not mean, just matter of fact. "Neither are you," she'd shot back. He'd smiled. She remembered that smile, rare even then. True. They'd sat together in the dark, listening to the adults inside argue about territory and tribute and respect. And Dante had asked her, "Do you know what they're planning? They want us to get married when I'm older." "Does that scare you?" She'd thought about it, really thought. "No," she'd said finally. "Should it?" "Probably." But he'd said it kindly, and then quieter. "I'll try to be someone you don't have to be afraid of." She'd believed him, had carried that promise with her through the years, through her father's grooming, through the understanding that her life had already been decided. She'd never resented it, never fought it. Because Dante had always been steady, solid, safe in a world that was anything but. And then she'd met Ethan, and she'd thrown it all away for a fantasy. The plane began its descent as dawn broke over Sicily. Serafina opened her eyes and looked out the window at the island rising from the Mediterranean like something from a dream. Rugged mountains, ancient cities, secrets buried in stone that went back thousands of years. She was home. The Palermo airport was empty at this hour, or seemed empty anyway. But Serafina knew better. As she walked through the private terminal, she could feel eyes on her, security, her father's men, watching, waiting. A black Mercedes waited on the tarmac. The driver stood beside it, Marco, one of her father's oldest soldiers. He was in his 50s now, gray at the temples, but still moved like a man who knew how to hurt people. "Benvenuta a casa, signorina," he said. "Welcome home. Marco." She let him take her bag, the small overnight bag she'd thrown together at a hotel near the airport before the flight. Everything else was back at the mansion, back with Ethan. She didn't want any of it. "How is he?" "Your father? Strong, waiting." Marco opened the car door for her. "He's been waiting 5 years." She got in. The leather smelled like cigars and old money. Marco slid into the driver's seat and pulled away from the airport, heading into the city as the sun climbed higher. Palermo was waking up. Street vendors setting up, old women sweeping stoops. The city had a rhythm, ancient and unchanging, that California had never had. Everything in Silicon Valley was new, shiny, desperate to be the next big thing. Here, things just were. Had been. Would always be. They drove through the city, past the markets and the churches, and the narrow streets that tourists loved to photograph, and then out into the countryside. The roads got narrower, the houses got bigger, and then they were pulling up to gates that had stood for 300 years, the Moretti estate. Serafina felt her chest tighten. She'd grown up here, had run through these halls as a child, hidden in the gardens, learned to shoot in the basement range, had been taught languages and history and mathematics by private tutors, and then other things, darker things, by men whose names she'd never known. How to read people, how to lie, how to survive. The gates opened. Marco drove through. The house rose before them, 3 stories of old stone and new security, surrounded by gardens that had been maintained for generations. It looked like a museum. It was a fortress. The front door opened before they'd even stopped, and there he was. Vittorio Moretti stood on the steps in a charcoal suit, hands clasped in front of him, looking exactly the way she remembered. 65 years old, silver hair swept back, dark eyes that missed nothing. He didn't smile, didn't move, just watched his daughter get out of the car and walk toward him. Serafina stopped at the bottom of the steps. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Vittorio descended. Slowly. One step at a time. When he reached her, he cupped her face in his hands, rough hands, scarred hands, hands that had built an empire, and looked at her like she was something precious. "Piccola mia," he said softly. "My little one." "You're bleeding." She blinked, raised a hand to her lip. Her fingers came away red. She hadn't even noticed. Must have bitten it during the flight. "It's nothing," she said. "Nothing." He studied her, then nodded. "Come inside." We'll talk. They walked through the house together. Nothing had changed. Same paintings on the walls, Renaissance masters, most of them stolen. Same marble floors, polished to a mirror shine. Same heavy furniture that had been in the family for generations. But something felt different. She felt different. Her father led her to his study, the same room where she'd told him she was leaving 5 years ago. The same mahogany desk, the same leather chairs, the same window overlooking the gardens where she'd played as a child. He poured them both cognac, handed her a glass, sat down across from her. "Tell me," he said. So she did. Not everything, but enough. The affair, the pregnancy, the divorce. Her voice stayed steady the whole time, clinical, like she was reporting on someone else's life. When she finished, Vittorio was quiet for a long time. He swirled his cognac, watching the amber liquid catch the light. "What do you want?" he asked finally. "I don't know." "Yes, you do." She looked up, met his eyes. "I want him to understand what he's lost." "And how do you plan to make him understand?" "I don't know yet." Vittorio smiled, not a kind smile, a wolf's smile. "Then let me help you figure it out." "Papa, you think I didn't see this coming? You think I haven't been preparing for this day since you left?" He leaned forward. "You're my daughter, Serafina. My blood. I let you go because I love you, but I never stopped watching, never stopped protecting you, and I never forgave that boy for taking you from me." "He didn't take me. I chose to leave." "Same thing." He stood, walked to the window. "The Rinaldi arrangement. No." She stood too. "Papa, no, I won't. Dante has been waiting for you. That's not fair to him." "Fair?" Vittorio turned. "You think Dante cares about fair? He's been in love with you since you were children, Serafina. Did you know that?" She hadn't, or had refused to know. "The engagement was arranged," she said. "The engagement was convenient. His feelings were real." Vittorio crossed back to her. "I spoke with him last night, told him you were coming home. He wants to see you." "I can't." "You can't what? Face him? After you humiliated him by running off with some American tech boy? After you destroyed an alliance that took decades to build?" His voice was hard now. Not cruel, but firm. "You owe him a conversation at least." She wanted to argue, but he was right. She did owe Dante that much. "When?" she asked. "Tonight? Dinner. Here." He softened slightly. "If you want to rebuild, Serafina, if you truly want to make that boy in California understand what he's thrown away, you need more than anger. You need power, real power. The kind that doesn't come from contracts or stock options. The kind that comes from blood and steel and alliances that have stood for 100 years. You want me to marry Dante. I want you to choose what's best for you. But yes, I think marrying Dante would be, strategic." She laughed. Couldn't help it. "Strategic? Jesus, Papa. You make it sound like a business deal." "Isn't it?" He tilted his head. "You married for love once. How did that work out?" The words hit like a slap. But they were true. "I'll have dinner with him," she said. "That's all I'm promising." "That's all I ask?" That night, Serafina stood in front of the mirror in her old bedroom, the one she'd grown up in, with its high ceilings and antique furniture and balcony overlooking the sea, and barely recognized herself. The woman staring back wasn't the soft, accommodating wife she'd been in California. This woman wore a black dress cut like a weapon, diamond earrings that had belonged to her grandmother, hair swept up in a way that exposed her neck, her collarbones, her scars, thin white lines on her shoulders from training accidents when she was young. This woman looked dangerous. She looked like a Moretti. Dinner was being served in the formal dining room. She could hear voices as she descended the stairs, her father's deep rumble, and another voice, quieter but just as commanding. "Dante." She paused at the doorway, took a breath, pushed it open. The conversation stopped. Two men stood by the fireplace, drinks in hand, her father still in his suit from earlier, and beside him, Dante Rinaldi had grown into his features. At 33, he was tall and lean, dressed in a dark suit that probably cost more than most people's cars. His hair was black, shorter than she remembered, and his face had lost the softness of youth. He had a scar now, thin and white, running from his right eyebrow to his cheekbone. War wounds. Business wounds. The same thing in their world. He looked at her, just looked, and his expression didn't change. Serafina, he said. His voice was exactly as she remembered, low, controlled. You look well. Liar, she said. The corner of his mouth twitched. You look like you've been through hell. Better? Much, Vittorio laughed. Shall we eat? Dinner was awkward, not because anyone was rude, everyone was painfully polite, but because the weight of everything unsaid hung over the table like smoke. They talked about business, about politics, about everything except why Serafina was really here. It wasn't until dessert that Dante finally broke. Your father tells me you're getting divorced, he said. Casual, like he was commenting on the weather. Serafina set down her fork. Yes. I'm sorry. Are you? No. He met her eyes. I'm glad. He was an idiot. You don't know anything about him. I know he let you go. That makes him an idiot. Dante leaned back in his chair. I wouldn't have let you go. You didn't have a choice. No, I didn't. Something dark crossed his face. But I would have found a way, if you'd given me the chance. Serafina felt something twist in her chest. Not guilt, not quite, but close. Dante, I'm not here to make you feel bad, Serafina. He glanced at Vittorio, then back at her. I'm here because your father thinks we should revisit our arrangement, and I think he's right. I don't love you, she said bluntly. I don't love you either. He said it without hesitation, without cruelty, just fact. Not anymore. I did once, when we were young, but you killed that when you left, so we're even. Then why? Because love is a liability. He leaned forward. You learned that the hard way. I learned it watching my father destroy himself over a woman who didn't deserve him. Love makes you weak. Power doesn't. So this would be what? A business arrangement? The best marriages are. Dante reached for his wine. We'd be partners. Equals. You'd have everything you lost and more. I'd have the alliance my family needs to expand north. Everyone wins. Except the people we destroy, Serafina said quietly. Dante's smile was cold. There's always collateral damage. That's not our problem. She should have been horrified, should have stood up and walked out. But she wasn't horrified. She was interested, because he was right. Love had made her weak, had made her vulnerable, had made her into someone she didn't recognize, someone who built empires for other people instead of herself. But power? Power was something she understood. I need time, she said. Take all the time you need. Dante stood, buttoned his jacket. But don't take too long. The offer won't last forever. He nodded to Vittorio. Thank you for dinner. It was enlightening. After he left, Serafina and her father sat in silence. Well? Vittorio asked. He's different than I remember. We all are. He refilled his wine. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. Yes, you do. She looked at him. How can you be so sure? Because you're my daughter, and my daughter doesn't run from fights. She ends them. He raised his glass. To endings. And new beginnings. Serafina raised hers, clinked it against his. To power, she said, and drank. 3 days later, the news broke. Ethan Cole and Lena Varelli were engaged. Serafina saw it on her phone. Some gossip site had gotten photos of them at a restaurant in San Francisco. Lena's hand prominently displayed, showing off a diamond that probably cost 6 figures. Ethan smiling, looking happy, looking free. She stared at the photo for a long time, felt nothing, no pain, no anger, just cold, perfect clarity. She picked up her phone, dialed. Dante answered on the second ring. I was wondering when you'd call. I have an answer, she said. And? Yes. A pause. Then, when? As soon as possible. Eager to start your new life? Eager to end my old one. She could hear him breathing on the other end. This is business, Dante. Nothing more. I wouldn't want it any other way. He sounded pleased. I'll make the arrangements. 2 weeks. The cathedral in Montreal. Unless you'd prefer something more private? No, public is good. I want people to know. People? Or one person in particular? She smiled. It felt like razors. Both. Then it settled. 2 weeks. And Serafina? Yes? Welcome to the family. He hung up. She sat there with the phone in her hand, looking out at the Mediterranean, and felt something settle into place. This wasn't about love. This wasn't about happiness. This was about becoming who she was always meant to be, and making damn sure Ethan Cole understood exactly what he'd thrown away. The wedding was set. The pieces were moving. And somewhere in California, in a mansion that used to be hers, Ethan Cole had no idea that the woman he'd discarded was about to become a queen. But he would. Soon. The chapel bells didn't ring on Serafina's wedding day. She'd specifically requested silence, no music, no celebration, nothing that would suggest this was about joy. This was a transaction, a merger, the kind of union that changed maps and moved money and made certain people very, very nervous. She stood in front of the mirror in a private room of the Monreale Cathedral, studying herself. The dress was white. Tradition demanded it, but there was nothing innocent about the way it clung to her body. Silk like water. No veil. Her hair loose and dark down her back. The only jewelry she wore was a single strand of pearls that had belonged to Dante's grandmother. A gift from the Rinaldi family. A claim. Her father appeared in the doorway, immaculate in a black suit. He looked at her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. "You don't have to do this," he said quietly. Serafina turned. "Yes, I do. Not for revenge. That's not a good enough reason. It's reason enough for me." She adjusted the pearls at her throat. They felt like a collar. "Are they here?" "Everyone who matters." Vittorio moved closer. 300 guests. Half of them want to see you fail. The other half want to see what you'll do next. And Ethan, I sent him an invitation. He didn't respond. He won't come. She said it with certainty. Ethan was too much of a coward to face her, to see what she'd become. But he'll hear about it. That's what matters. Serafina, her father's voice was gentle now, worried. Once you walk down that aisle, there's no going back. The Rinaldi alliance, it's permanent. You understand that? I understand. Do you? He caught her hand. His palm was warm, calloused. Dante is not a kind man. He's not like, don't. Her voice cracked like a whip. Don't compare him to Ethan. Ethan was a liar. Dante at least is honest about what he is. A killer. So are you. Vittorio flinched, just slightly, but enough. That's different. Is it? She pulled her hand away. I grew up in this world, Papa. I know what we are, what we've always been. I tried to be something else, and it almost destroyed me. So now I'm choosing to be exactly what I was raised to be. She met his eyes. A Moretti, and soon a Rinaldi. He studied her, then nodded slowly. Then let's not keep your husband waiting. The cathedral was ancient, 12th century stone and gold mosaics that had watched over countless marriages, countless births, countless deaths. The air smelled like incense and old secrets. Serafina walked down the aisle alone. She'd refused her father's arm at the last moment. This wasn't him giving her away. This was her choosing. The guests watched in silence. She recognized faces, crime families from across Europe, politicians, businessmen whose corporations were just fronts for darker enterprises. Everyone dressed in expensive clothes, wearing expensive smiles, calculating angles. And at the altar, waiting. Dante Rinaldi stood perfectly still. Black suit, white shirt, no expression. He watched her approach like he was watching a chess piece move across a board. Strategic, detached. When she reached him, he offered his hand. She took it. His palm was cool, dry, the hand of a man who didn't sweat under pressure. The ceremony was short, efficient. Words spoken in Latin by an old priest who'd probably married half the crime families in Sicily. Serafina barely heard them. She was too focused on not thinking, not feeling, just existing in this moment, this decision, this choice that couldn't be undone. I do, she said when prompted. I do, Dante echoed. The rings were simple. Gold bands, no diamonds, nothing flashy, nothing that would suggest this was about love. You may kiss the bride, the priest said. Dante leaned in. His lips brushed hers, cold, quick, perfunctory, like signing a contract. When he pulled back, his eyes were flat. Mrs. Rinaldi, he said quietly. Mr. Rinaldi, she replied. And just like that, it was done. The reception was held at the Rinaldi estate, a sprawling compound outside Palermo that made her father's house look modest. Marble everywhere, gold fixtures, guards in suits stationed at every corner, the kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself because everyone already knew. Serafina moved through the crowd like a ghost, accepting congratulations, smiling at the right moments, playing the role of the blushing bride even though there was nothing blushing about her. She was performing, had been performing for hours, and she was exhausted. Dante appeared at her elbow with champagne. You're doing well, he said, low enough that only she could hear. Very convincing. Practice. She took the glass but didn't drink. How much longer? Another hour. Then we can escape. He scanned the room. My father wants a word. Can you handle the vultures alone for a few minutes? I've handled worse. I don't doubt it. He touched her lower back, a gesture that looked affectionate but felt like ownership. Don't wander too far. Some of these people would kill you just for the prestige. Let them try. He smiled, actually smiled. I'm starting to like you, Serafina. Don't. She met his eyes. Liking me wasn't part of the deal. No, but it might make things easier. Or more complicated. That too. He left, disappearing into the crowd. Serafina stood alone, champagne in hand, and felt the weight of every eye in the room, judging, calculating, wondering if she was an asset or a liability, wondering if Dante Rinaldi had made a smart move or a fatal mistake. Quite the spectacle. She turned. A woman stood beside her, mid-40s, blonde, wearing a red dress that cost more than most cars. Serafina recognized her. Isabella Cardona, wife of Marco Cardona, one of the most powerful arms dealers in Europe. Isabella, Serafina said carefully, I didn't know you were coming. I wouldn't miss it. Isabella's smile was sharp. The prodigal daughter returns, marries the Rinaldi heir. It's very dramatic. Is there a point to this conversation? Just curiosity. Isabella sipped her champagne. 5 years ago you left all this behind, ran off with some American boy, broke your father's heart, humiliated Dante. And now you're back, playing dress-up in the same world you couldn't wait to escape. She tilted her head. What changed? I did. Or he did. Isabella's eyes were knowing. The American. He threw you away, didn't he? Found someone younger, prettier, less complicated. Serafina's hand tightened on her glass. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Isabella leaned closer. I've seen this before, Cara. Women who think they can escape, who think love will save them, and then reality hits, and they come crawling back to what they know, to where they have power. She paused. But here's the thing about power. It demands sacrifice, and I wonder what you're willing to sacrifice to keep it. Anything, Serafina said coldly. We'll see. Isabella straightened. Congratulations on your marriage. I hope it lasts longer than your first one. She walked away, leaving Serafina standing there with rage simmering in her chest. She wanted to throw the champagne glass, wanted to scream, but she didn't. Just stood there, breathing carefully, counting to 10 the way she'd been taught as a child. Control. Always control. Her phone buzzed in her clutch. She pulled it out, expecting a message from Dante or her father. It was from an unknown number. Congratulations on the wedding. You look beautiful. Ethan. Her hands started shaking. She read the message again and again. Beautiful. Like he had any right to comment on how she looked, like he had any right to contact her at all. She typed back, fuck you. Deleted it. Typed, don't contact me again. Deleted that too. Finally settled on, how did you get this number? The response came immediately. I still have connections. We need to talk. No, please. It's important. I don't care. It's about Lena. Her finger hovered over the screen. She should ignore him, should block the number, should throw the phone into the nearest fountain and forget he existed. But that name, Lena, made her pause. What about her, she typed. The three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, can we talk? Not here. Not over text, somewhere private. You're insane. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I'm at my wedding reception, Ethan. What the fuck do you want from me? The truth. She almost laughed. The truth. From the man who'd lied to her for 6 months straight. But something in his message felt desperate, urgent. And despite everything, despite the betrayal and the hurt and the rage, she was curious. Tomorrow, she typed. Noon. The Quattro Conti fountain. Come alone or don't come at all. Thank you. She shoved the phone back in her clutch, looked around the reception. No one had noticed her moment of distraction. The party continued, laughter and music and the clink of glasses. All these people celebrating a marriage that was really just a business arrangement between two families who'd built their fortunes on blood. Dante reappeared. You ready to go? God, yes. Follow me. He led her through the crowd, through corridors lined with paintings worth millions, up a grand staircase to the 3rd floor. The master suite. Their suite now. He opened the door. She walked in. The room was massive. King-sized bed, sitting area, balcony overlooking the gardens. Everything decorated in shades of cream and gold, like something from a magazine spread. Dante closed the door behind them. The lock clicked. They stood there in silence. So, he said finally, here we are. Here we are. You can have the bed. I'll take the couch. She blinked. What? The couch. He loosened his tie. I'm not an animal, Serafina. This marriage is strategic, not romantic. I'm not going to force you into anything. That's decent of you. Don't sound so surprised. He shrugged off his jacket, draped it over a chair. We're partners, equals. That means respect. Even though you don't love me, especially because I don't love me. He met her eyes. Love makes people stupid, makes them demand things, expect things. This way is cleaner. She should have felt relieved, but instead she felt something like disappointment, which was ridiculous. Okay, she said. Okay. He grabbed a pillow from the bed. Get some sleep. Tomorrow we start planning. Planning what? How we're going to destroy everyone who's ever underestimated you. He smiled. Starting with your ex-husband. He settled onto the couch, too long for it, his legs hanging off the edge, and closed his eyes. Serafina changed in the bathroom, washed off her makeup, pulled on the silk nightgown that had been laid out for her by staff she'd never met, looked at herself in the mirror. Mrs. Rinaldi. She'd done it, made the choice, committed. And tomorrow, she'd find out what Ethan wanted. The Quattro Conti fountain sat in the heart of Palermo, where 4 Baroque buildings met in perfect symmetry. It was crowded at noon, tourists snapping photos, locals rushing to lunch, street performers playing music for coins. Serafina sat on the edge of the fountain in sunglasses and a simple black dress, watching the crowd. Dante had insisted on sending security, 2 men stationed nearby, trying to look casual and failing. She'd argued. He'd won. They're not negotiable, he'd said that morning over espresso. You're a Rinaldi now. That means you're a target. I've been a target my whole life. Not like this. He'd been right. The marriage had made headlines. Photos of them leaving the cathedral, her hand in his, both of them looking like something from a Mafia movie. The media had eaten it up. Silicon Valley exile marries crime heir. From tech wife to mob queen. The headlines were lurid and mostly accurate. Ethan appeared at 12:03. She spotted him across the fountain, still handsome in that California way, jeans and a button-down, sunglasses hiding his eyes. He looked thinner, tired, like he hadn't been sleeping. Good. He sat down beside her, didn't speak for a moment, just stared at the water. You actually came, he said finally. You said it was important. It is. He pulled off his sunglasses. His eyes were bloodshot. I'm in trouble, Sarah. Don't call me that. Sorry, Serafina. He rubbed his face. I don't know who else to talk to. You could try your fiancé. Oh, wait. She smiled coldly. What's wrong? Trouble in paradise? She's not who I thought she was. Join the club. He flinched. I deserve that. You deserve worse. She turned to face him fully. You have 2 minutes. Start talking. Ethan looked around nervously, lowered his voice. The baby, it's not mine. Serafina went still. What? The baby. It's not mine. I had a paternity test done. His hands were shaking. The timeline didn't make sense. She told me she was 3 months along, but she looked further. So I got suspicious. Sent a sample to a private lab. He pulled out his phone, showed her results. DNA analysis. Probability of paternity, 0%. She stared at the screen, felt nothing. Then everything. So she lied, Serafina said slowly. About everything, the pregnancy, the timing, all of it. He put the phone away. I confronted her last night. She denied it at first, then he stopped, swallowed hard. She laughed, said I was pathetic, said the plan had worked perfectly. Plan? That's the part I don't understand. He looked at her, really looked. She said someone hired her to get close to me, to destroy my marriage, to... He stopped. To what, Ethan? To destroy the company. His voice was barely a whisper. She's been feeding information to our competitors, sabotaging deals. I found emails, encrypted files. She's been working with someone named Salazar. Serafina's blood went cold. Victor Salazar, the name she'd mentioned the night Ethan confessed, the name he'd reacted to. When I brought up Salazar before, she said carefully, you recognized the name. He's a venture capitalist, invested in our Series B. Ethan was talking faster now. But he's also, I think he's connected to your world, the one you came from. Connected how? I don't know. But Lena, she mentioned him, said he was pleased with her progress, said the endgame was almost complete. Ethan grabbed her hand. She yanked it back. Serafina, I think this is bigger than me and you. I think someone's been targeting us, both of us. You're paranoid. Am I? He pulled out his phone again, showed her an email chain, encrypted, coded language, but clear enough if you knew what to look for. References to the target, the wife. Elimination protocol. Serafina read it twice, felt ice spreading through her chest. Where did you get this? She asked. Lena's laptop. She left it unlocked last night. I copied everything. He was pale now, sweating. I'm not making this up. Someone wanted me to destroy my marriage, wanted you gone, and I played right into it. She stood, paced. Her mind was racing. Victor Salazar. She knew that name from somewhere, from her old life, and then it clicked. Salazar, she said. Victor Salazar. Mid-50s. Mexican national. Operates out of Los Angeles. You know him? I know of him. She turned. He used to work for the Sinaloa cartel. Money laundering. Then he went legitimate, or pretended to. Started a venture capital firm, but he's still connected. Still dirty. Why would he target me? Not you. The pieces were falling into place now. Horrible, perfect pieces. Me. He was targeting me. But why? Because I left. She felt sick. When I married you, I cut ties with my family, with my world. That made me a liability. Someone who knew too much, but was no longer protected. She looked at Ethan. If I'd stayed married to you, I would have been vulnerable, an outsider, easy to eliminate. So he used Lena to destroy my marriage, to isolate me, to make me weak. She laughed bitterly. Except it backfired, because instead of breaking me, it sent me home, back to my family, back to protection. Ethan stood. What do we do? We? She stared at him. There is no we, Ethan. You destroyed that. I know I fucked up. But if what you're saying is true, if Salazar is still out there, then you're still in danger. We both are. I'm protected now. I'm a Rinaldi. And what about me? His voice cracked. What happens to me? She should have felt sympathy, should have cared. But all she felt was cold satisfaction. That's not my problem anymore, she said. Serafina, you made your choice, Ethan. You chose to believe Lena. You chose to throw away our marriage. You chose all of this. She started walking away. Live with it. Wait! He caught up with her. The security guard stepped closer. Please, I'm sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. I was an idiot. I was selfish. His voice broke. I loved you. I still love you. She stopped, turned, and saw him clearly for the first time. Not as her husband, not as the man she'd built an empire for, but as what he really was. A boy playing at being a king. Weak, selfish, small. You don't love me, she said quietly. You love what I did for you. The doors I opened, the problems I solved. You love having someone clean up your messes. She stepped closer. But I'm done cleaning, Ethan. I'm done building other people's empires. From now on, I build my own. She walked away, didn't look back. Behind her, she heard him call her name, once, twice. She kept walking. Back at the Rinaldi estate, Dante was waiting in his office, a massive room lined with books and weapons in equal measure. He looked up when she entered. How'd it go? He asked. Interesting. She closed the door, told him everything. The fake pregnancy, Lena, Victor Salazar, the conspiracy. When she finished, Dante was quiet for a long time. Then he stood, walked to the window. Salazar, he said, I know him, or know of him. He's got connections to the cartels, but he's been trying to branch out, legitimize. He turned. If he's targeting you, it's not personal, it's business. What kind of business? The kind where you were a loose end. Dante's expression was grim. You knew too much about your father's operations, about the money flows, the connections. When you married Ethan and left the family, you became a vulnerability, someone who could be compromised, turned. So Salazar wanted me dead. Or broken. Same thing in our world. He moved closer. But now you're back. Married into the Rinaldi family, protected. That changes the equation. Does it? It does if we make it clear you're untouchable. His eyes were hard. This is an opportunity, Serafina. Salazar made a move. He failed. Now we respond. How? We destroy him. Dante said it casually, like he was suggesting dinner. We take apart his businesses, his connections, his reputation. We make an example of him. That's a war. Small war. Contained. He smiled. Unless you'd rather wait for him to try again. She thought about it. About Ethan's terrified face. About Lena's manipulation. About how close she'd come to being eliminated without ever knowing she was a target. No, she said. I'm done waiting. Good. Dante pulled out his phone, started typing. I'll make some calls. Reach out to contacts in LA. We'll need intelligence first. Where he operates. Who he's connected to. Where he's vulnerable. And then? Then we cut him off at the knees. Over the next 3 days, information poured in. Salazar had his fingers in a dozen pies. Venture capital, real estate, shipping. All of it dirty money dressed up in suits. He had protection from the cartels, but it was thin, conditional, based on results. If we hit him hard enough, Dante said, studying the reports, the cartels will cut him loose. They don't protect liabilities. How hard is hard enough? Complete financial collapse. Public humiliation. Prison time if we can manage it. He looked at her. Your husband, ex-husband, he has evidence, emails, files. That's a start. Ethan won't cooperate. He will if the alternative is worse. Dante's smile was sharp. Let me talk to him. No. Serafina stood. I'll do it. You sure? I'm sure. She called Ethan that night. He answered on the first ring. Serafina. I need those files, she said. Everything you copied from Lena's laptop. Silence. Then, why? Because we're going after Salazar, and you're going to help. I can't get involved in this. I'm not. You're already involved, Ethan. The moment Salazar targeted you, you became part of this. Her voice was ice. So you have two choices. Give me the files and help us take him down. Or refuse and explain to the FBI why you've been working with a known money launderer. You're bluffing. Am I? She let the silence stretch. I have connections now, Ethan. Real connections. The kind that can make problems disappear, or create them. She paused. Your choice. Another long silence. Then quietly, what do you need? Everything. Send it encrypted to this email address. She gave him a dead drop account Dante had set up. And Ethan, if you try to warn Salazar, if you do anything except what I tell you, I won't, I promise. His voice cracked. I just want this to be over. It will be. Soon. She hung up. The files arrived within an hour. Dante's tech team analyzed them, confirmed they were genuine, devastating, completely incriminating. Salazar had been sloppy, arrogant, probably thought he was untouchable. He wasn't. This is good, Dante said, scrolling through the data. Really good. We can work with this. What's the play? We feed it to the feds, anonymously. Let them do the heavy lifting. He looked at her. But first we make sure everyone knows Salazar failed, that he tried to move against a Rinaldi and lost. How? We send a message, a clear one. His smile was cold. Leave that to me. 2 days later, Victor Salazar's car exploded in the parking lot of his Los Angeles office. He wasn't in it. The bomb was set to detonate at a time when the car would be empty. But the message was clear. We know who you are. We know what you did. Try again and you won't be so lucky. The news coverage was immediate. Speculation about cartel violence, gang warfare, corporate sabotage. But in certain circles, the circles that mattered, everyone knew exactly what the explosion meant. Victor Salazar had moved against the Rinaldis, and the Rinaldis had responded. Serafina watched the news coverage from Dante's office, feeling nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction, just cold acknowledgement that this was her life now. This was who she was. Phase 1 complete, Dante said. Now we wait for the feds to move. They didn't have to wait long. Within a week, federal agents raided Salazar's offices, seized his files, arrested 3 of his associates. Salazar himself disappeared, probably fled to Mexico or further south, somewhere the U.S. couldn't touch him. But his empire was finished, his reputation destroyed, his connections severed. The cartels dropped him, Dante reported. Officially, he's persona non grata. Good, Serafina said. There's more. Dante pulled up a news article on his tablet. Lena Virelli was found dead this morning. Apparent suicide. Pills and alcohol. Serafina's stomach lurched. You? Not me. Dante's expression was unreadable. Salazar, probably. Cleaning up loose ends before he ran. He paused. Or maybe it really was suicide. Guilt. Fear. Who knows? Ethan, does he know? I imagine he will soon. She should have felt something. Horror. Pity. But all she felt was tired. It's over then, she said. This part is. Dante set down the tablet. But there's still one loose end. What? Your ex-husband. He watched her carefully. He has the files still. He knows everything. He's a liability. He won't talk. How do you know? Because he's terrified. She stood, walked to the window. And because deep down, he still thinks I'll forgive him. That we'll somehow fix this. Will you? No. She said it without hesitation. That part of my life is over. Then what do you want to do about him? She thought about it. About Ethan sitting in his mansion, alone now. Lena dead. His company probably in free fall from the scandal. Everything he'd built collapsing around him. Nothing, she said finally. Let him rot. That's punishment enough. You're sure? I'm sure. Dante nodded. Then it settled. He stood, moved beside her at the window. Together they looked out over the gardens, the city beyond, the world they now controlled. You did well, he said quietly. Handled yourself like a Rinaldi. I am a Rinaldi now. Yes. He looked at her. You are. For a moment neither of them spoke. Then Dante's phone buzzed. He checked it. His expression darkened. What? Serafina asked. Your father. He wants to see us, both of us. Now. Why? He didn't say. Dante was already moving toward the door. But when Vittorio Moretti summons you, you don't ask questions. You go. They drove to her father's estate in silence. The sun was setting, turning the sky blood red. Serafina watched it through the car window and felt dread settling in her stomach. Something was wrong. They found Vittorio in his study, standing at the window with his back to them. He didn't turn when they entered. "Papa?" Serafina said. "Close the door," he said quietly. Dante obeyed. They waited. Finally, Vittorio turned. His face was drawn, older than she'd ever seen it. "We have a problem," he said. "A serious one." "What kind of problem?" Dante asked. "The kind that could destroy us all." Vittorio moved to his desk, pulled out a folder, handed it to Dante. "This arrived an hour ago. Anonymous delivery." Dante opened it. His face went white. "What is it?" Serafina demanded. He handed her the folder. She looked inside and felt her entire world shatter. Photographs, documents, bank records. Evidence of every illegal deal she'd helped Ethan with over the past 5 years. Every laundered dollar, every bribed official, every crime she'd committed to build his empire. And a note typed on plain white paper. "Mrs. Rinaldi, your past is now public record. The FBI has copies. So do several media outlets. Publication is scheduled for 72 hours from now, unless you comply with the following terms." The terms were simple, brutal. Divorce Dante. Leave the family. Disappear, or watch everything burn. Serafina's hands were shaking. She read it again, and again. "Who sent this?" she whispered. "I don't know," Vittorio said, "but whoever it is, they know everything about you, about us, about what you did in California." He looked at her. "This is bad, Serafina. Worse than Salazar. This could bring down both families." "We can fight this," Dante said, but his voice was uncertain. "With what?" Vittorio's voice was harsh. "These documents are real. The evidence is solid. If it goes public, the feds won't have a choice. They'll have to move. Against her, against us, against everyone." Serafina couldn't breathe. This wasn't possible, wasn't real. She'd been so careful, so precise. But someone had been watching, collecting, waiting, and now they had her. 72 hours, she said numbly. 72 hours, her father confirmed. She looked at Dante, at her father, at the evidence of her own destruction spread across the desk. "What do I do?" she asked. Neither of them answered, because there was no good answer, no way out, no escape. The silence in Vittorio's study was suffocating. Serafina stood frozen, the folder still clutched in her hands, staring at evidence of her own destruction. 5 years of careful work, 5 years of building Ethan's empire with dirty money and dirtier connections. All of it documented, photographed, cataloged like evidence in a murder trial. Because that's what this was. Murder. The killing of everything she'd tried to become. "We need to find out who sent this," Dante said. His voice was controlled, but she could hear the edge underneath, the anger. This didn't come from nowhere. Someone's been watching her for years. Obviously. Vittorio moved to the bar, poured himself whiskey. His hand was steady, but his face looked carved from stone. "The question is who, and what they really want." "The note says what they want," Serafina said. Her voice sounded distant, like it was coming from someone else. "They want me gone. Out of the family. Divorced. Disappeared. That's what they say they want." Her father drank. But people rarely ask for what they actually want. They ask for what they think they can get. Then what do they actually want? She threw the folder on the desk, paper scattered. "To destroy the Rinaldi alliance? To embarrass you? To control us," Dante said quietly. He was staring at the note, reading it again. "Think about it. They don't just want you gone. They want you compliant. They want leverage." "Leverage for what?" "For whatever comes next." He looked at Vittorio. "This is a power play. Someone's trying to force our hand, make us weak, make us reactive instead of proactive." Vittorio nodded slowly. "The timing is interesting. Right after we took down Salazar, right after Serafina came back into the fold, someone doesn't want the families united." "Then we don't give them what they want," Serafina said. She could feel something hardening in her chest, something cold and sharp. "We fight this. We find whoever sent this, and we what?" Her father's voice was harsh. "Kill them? That doesn't make the evidence disappear. It's already out there, already copied, already in the hands of people we can't touch." He set down his glass with a sharp click. "If these documents go public, the FBI will have no choice. They'll come after you, after all of us. Every deal you facilitated, every dollar you laundered, they'll trace it back to me, to Dante, to both families. So what are you saying? She could feel panic rising in her throat. That I should just… What? Divorce Dante? Run away? Let them win? I'm saying we need to think strategically. Vittorio's eyes were hard, not emotionally. She's my wife, Dante said. Flat, final. I don't abandon my wife. Even if keeping her destroys everything we've built? The question hung in the air like poison gas. Dante's jaw tightened. Yes. Vittorio studied him, then nodded. All right. Then we find another way. He turned to Serafina. You said Ethan had files. Evidence against Salazar. What else does he have? I don't know. Why? Because if someone's been watching you for 5 years, collecting evidence, they had to have access. Inside access. Her father's eyes narrowed. Someone close to you. Someone who knew what you were doing. Someone you trusted. The realization hit her like a fist to the stomach. Ethan, she whispered. Not just Ethan. Dante was on his feet now, pacing. Think about it. Who else knew about your activities? Who else had access to the records? The transactions? Serafina's mind was racing. His CFO, Marcus Chen, he handled all the financial documentation. I worked with him directly on… She stopped, felt sick. Oh God. What? Vittorio demanded. Oh. Marcus left the company 3 months ago, said he was retiring, moving to Singapore. She looked at them. But Ethan never mentioned why, just said Marcus wanted out. Did you find that odd? At the time, no. I was already… She stopped. Already planning to leave. Already checked out. I didn't question it. Dante pulled out his phone, started typing. I'll have our people look into Marcus Chen, see where he really went, who he's been talking to. It'll take time, Vittorio said. We don't have time. 72 hours isn't enough to… Then we buy more time. Serafina's voice was sharp, clear. The panic was burning away, replaced by something harder. We contact whoever sent this. We negotiate. Negotiate what? Her father asked. Whatever they actually want. She moved to the desk, picked up the note, read it again with fresh eyes. They're using the evidence as leverage. That means they want something specific, something they think we can provide. Or someone, Dante said darkly. She looked at him. What do you mean? Think about who benefits from splitting up our families, from removing you from the equation. He met her eyes. Other crime families, competitors, people who were threatened by the Moretti-Rinaldi alliance. That's half of Europe, Vittorio said. Then we narrow it down. Dante was already moving to the door. I'll make calls. See who's been moving in the shadows. Who's gotten bold recently. He paused at the threshold. In the meantime, we prepare for war, just in case. After he left, Serafina stood alone with her father. The silence was heavy, oppressive. You should have told me, Vittorio said quietly, about the extent of what you did for him. The money laundering, the bribes. I knew some of it, but this… He gestured at the scattered papers. This is worse than I thought. I was trying to build something clean, she said, voice hollow. I thought if I could just help Ethan get established, get legitimate investors, we could… Oh! There's no such thing as clean money, Serafina. I taught you that. He sighed. Suddenly looked very old. But you didn't listen. You wanted to believe in the fairy tale, the legitimate life, the happy ending. I was stupid. You were in love. He moved closer, put a hand on her shoulder. Love makes us all stupid, makes us blind, makes us think we can change the rules. His grip tightened. But the rules don't change, Piccola. They just are, and the price for breaking them is always the same. What price? Everything. She wanted to cry, wanted to scream, wanted to burn the whole world down. But she didn't, just stood there, breathing, feeling her father's hand on her shoulder like an anchor. What do I do? She asked. You survive, he said. Whatever it takes, you survive. 48 hours later, they had answers. Not all of them, but enough. Marcus Chen was dead, had been for 2 months, found in his Singapore apartment with a bullet in his head. Local police had ruled it suicide, but Dante's contacts said otherwise. Professional hit, clean, efficient. Someone tied up a loose end, Dante reported. They were back in Vittorio's study, now joined by 3 of Dante's most trusted men. But before he died, Marcus transferred a significant amount of data to an encrypted server. We tracked it. Where? Serafina asked. Los Angeles. Same city as Salazar. Dante's expression was grim. But the server isn't registered to Salazar. It's registered to a shell company, owned by another shell company, owned by... He stopped, looked at her. You're not going to like this. Just tell me. Ethan Cole. The room tilted. Serafina grabbed the edge of the desk to steady herself. That's impossible. Ethan wouldn't... The evidence says otherwise. Dante pulled up documents on his tablet, showed her, registration papers, transfer records, digital signatures. Marcus Chen transferred everything to a server owned by your ex-husband. Either Ethan's been playing you from the start, or someone's setting him up to take the fall. Which is more likely? Vittorio asked. Setting him up, one of Dante's men said. Hard-faced soldier type, scarred knuckles. Cole's not smart enough to run an operation like this. He's tech smart, sure. But this kind of long-game manipulation, this kind of evidence collection, that takes patience, planning. Someone's been orchestrating this for years. Then who? Serafina demanded. Who has that kind of reach, that kind of patience? No one answered. Because the truth was, in their world, the list of people with that kind of capability was long and terrifying. We're running out of time, Dante said. 24 hours until the deadline. We need to make a decision. What kind of decision? Serafina asked. Do we comply with the demands? Do we prepare for the fallout if we don't? Do we... He stopped, looked at Vittorio. Do we consider the nuclear option? What nuclear option? Serafina looked between them. Vittorio's face was expressionless. Disappearing you, completely. New identity, new life. Somewhere they can't find you. You mean witness protection? I mean better than witness protection. We have resources, connections. We could make you vanish, erase every trace. The feds would have their evidence, but no defendant, no way to move forward. And the families? She felt cold. What happens to you, to Dante? We weather the storm, her father said. It wouldn't be the first time. We have lawyers, contingencies. We'd take a hit, but we'd survive. And if I refuse? Silence. If you refuse, Dante said slowly, then we all go down. You, me, your father, everyone connected to this. The evidence is too solid, too comprehensive. We can't fight it head on. Serafina wanted to laugh, wanted to scream. After everything, after leaving her old life, marrying Ethan, building his empire, losing everything, coming home, marrying Dante, after all of it, she was right back where she started, trapped. I need to think, she said. You have 12 hours, Vittorio said. Then we move forward, with or without your cooperation. She left the study, walked through the estate in a daze, ended up in the gardens sitting on a stone bench under ancient olive trees. The sun was setting, painting everything gold and red. Beautiful, peaceful. She pulled out her phone, stared at it, then called Ethan. He answered immediately. Serafina, thank God. I've been trying to reach you. The news about Lena. Did you do it? She asked, voice flat. Do what? Collect evidence against me. Document every crime, every transaction, every dirty deal I helped you with. She could feel her control slipping. Did you set me up, Ethan? Silence. Long and terrible. What are you talking about? He sounded genuinely confused. I would never... There's a server registered in your name, containing 5 years of documentation, proof of everything I did to build your company, money laundering, bribery, all of it. Her voice was shaking now. Someone's threatening to release it, to destroy me, to destroy both families, and the trail leads back to you. That's insane. I don't... She heard him moving, computer keyboard clicking. What server? What registration? She gave him the details, heard him typing faster, then silence. Jesus Christ, he whispered. What? It's real, the server, the registration. But I didn't... He stopped. This is from 3 years ago. Look at the date. 3 years ago. Serafina checked the documents Dante had shown her. He was right. The server had been registered 3 years into their marriage, right around the time Marcus, she said. Marcus Chen set this up. Marcus is dead. I know. Her mind was racing. But he didn't work alone. Someone told him to do this. Someone paid him. Someone... She stopped, felt ice flooding her veins. Ethan, who introduced you to Marcus? Who recommended him for CFO? Silence again. Then quietly, you did. The world stopped. What? She whispered. You recommended him. Said he was someone your family had used before. Someone trustworthy. Someone who understood complex financial structures. Ethan's breathing was ragged. I didn't question it. I trusted you. Serafina's hands were shaking so badly she almost dropped the phone. When? When did I recommend him? Right after we got married. You said we needed someone who could handle the international transactions, the offshore accounts. You brought him to me. I don't remember that. You were... He hesitated. You were handling a lot back then. Setting up the shell companies, the connections. You said Marcus was essential, that he was the only one who could do it right. She didn't remember, couldn't remember. Those first few months of marriage were a blur of activity, of building, of connecting Ethan's company to her father's networks. She'd made dozens of recommendations, hired dozens of people. But if she'd recommended Marcus, if Marcus had been a plant from the beginning, someone used me, she said slowly. Someone put Marcus in place years ago, made me think he was one of ours, made me trust him. And then he spent 3 years documenting everything, building a case, collecting evidence. Who would do that? Someone who wanted leverage. Someone who knew I'd eventually come back to the family. Someone who... She stopped, felt realization crash over her like a wave. Someone who's been planning this since before I even left. That's impossible. That would mean someone in my own family set me up. The words felt like poison. Someone who knew I'd fall in love with you. Knew I'd leave, knew I'd use family resources to help you, and knew exactly how to document it all. Serafina, I have to go. She hung up, sat there on the bench, surrounded by olive trees and fading light, and felt her entire reality collapse. Someone in her family, someone who'd been playing a long game, someone who'd waited 5 years for this exact moment. She stood, walked back to the house. Her mind was working now, sharp and clear despite the horror, thinking through possibilities, connections, motivations. Who had access to her father's networks? Who would have known about her relationship with Ethan early enough to plant Marcus? Who would benefit from destroying the Moretti-Rinaldi alliance? She found Dante in the war room, a secure space in the basement where the family conducted serious business. He was alone, studying maps and reports spread across a large table. We need to talk, she said. He looked up, saw her expression. What happened? Marcus Chen, the CFO. I recommended him to Ethan. She moved closer. But I don't remember doing it. Don't remember where the recommendation came from. Someone fed it to you. Yes. Someone who had access to my father's operations. Someone who knew which names to give me, which people to present as trustworthy. She stopped in front of the table. Someone in the family. Dante went very still. That's a serious accusation. It's the only explanation. She was breathing hard now. Think about it. The timing, the precision, the long-term planning. This wasn't Salazar. This wasn't some outside player. This was someone who knew exactly how to manipulate me, exactly how to set me up. Who? I don't know yet, but I'm going to find out. She looked at him, really looked. Unless you already know. His face hardened. What are you implying? You tell me. You're the one who benefits if I disappear, if the alliance breaks, if my father's weakened. You think I did this? His voice was dangerously quiet. I think someone did. And right now, everyone's a suspect. She didn't back down, couldn't afford to. You married me for power, for alliance, not love. Your words. So tell me, is this part of the plan? Marry me, collect evidence, then force me out and consolidate power? Dante moved fast. One moment he was across the table, the next he had her pressed against the wall, his hand beside her head, his face inches from hers. Listen very carefully, he said, voice like ice. I don't need to destroy you to consolidate power. If I wanted you gone, I'd just kill you, Clean, simple. No elaborate schemes, no 5-year setups. His eyes were black, empty. I married you because the alliance made sense, because you're useful, because you're smart and dangerous and exactly the kind of partner I need, but I didn't set you up. And if I find out who did, he stopped, breathed. They'll beg for death before I'm done. She held his gaze, searched his face, looking for lies, for cracks, found nothing but cold truth. Okay, she said quietly. I believe you. He stepped back, straightened his jacket. Good, because we have bigger problems. What problems? I've been going through the financial records, tracing the money flows connected to Marcus Chen. He moved back to the table, pulled up documents. Look at this. 3 years ago, right when Marcus set up that server, there was a significant transfer from one of your father's accounts. 2 million euros. Went to a Swiss bank. From there, it split into multiple smaller accounts, all untraceable. Papa paid for the server? Or someone with access to his accounts did? Dante looked at her. When's the last time you audited your father's inner circle? I don't audit them. They're... She stopped. Felt cold. They're family. Family bleeds you slowest, Dante said. Ancient wisdom. Mafia truth. Who handles your father's finances? Who has access to his accounts? His consigliere, Angelo Russo. He's been with Papa for 30 years. Anyone else? My uncle, Roberto, my father's brother. But he's... She stopped. Thought. He's been pushing for expansion. Wanted to move into Eastern Europe. Papa said no. Said it was too risky. When was this? 6 years ago, right before I met Ethan. The pieces were falling into place now. Horrible pieces. Roberto was angry, said Papa was getting old, losing his edge. They fought about it. And then you left. And then I left. She felt sick. If I had stayed, if I had married you 6 years ago like planned, the alliance would have been stronger. Papa would have had the Rinaldi backing. Roberto wouldn't have been able to make a move, Dante finished. But you left, weakened your father, made him vulnerable, gave Roberto an opening. So he planted Marcus, set me up, waited for me to come back so he could... She couldn't finish. So he could use the evidence to force you out, destroy the Rinaldi alliance, weaken Vittorio, and then... Dante's expression was grim. Take over. They stared at each other. We need proof, Serafina said. We need more than proof. We need... The door burst open. One of Dante's soldiers, blood on his shirt, breathing hard. We're under attack, he gasped. Roberto Moretti. He's moving now. Has 40 men. They've taken the north gate. Serafina's blood went cold. Papa! Your father's still in his study. We've secured him. But Roberto's demanding a meeting. Says if Vittorio doesn't surrender control peacefully, he'll burn the estate to the ground. The soldier looked at Dante. What do we do? Dante was already moving, pulling weapons from a hidden cabinet. Guns, knives, body armor. We fight. Get everyone to defensive positions. Call our people. I want every Rinaldi soldier in Sicily here within the hour. That'll start a war. There's already a war. Dante threw a bulletproof vest to Serafina. Put that on. She caught it. I'm not hiding. I'm not asking you to hide. I'm asking you to not die. He loaded a pistol, checked the chamber. Roberto's not just after your father. He's after you. You're the evidence. The proof of everything. If he kills you, destroys the documentation, he can claim innocence. Say you were working alone. That your father knew nothing. Then we give him what he wants. Both men stared at her. What? Dante said. We give him me. Serafina's mind was racing. Clear now. Sharp. Tell Roberto I'll surrender. That I'll confess to everything. That I'll take the fall alone. That's suicide. No, it's bait. She looked at Dante. He doesn't just want me dead. He wants control. Wants the family. If I surrender, he'll have to show his hand, reveal what he really wants. And then? Then we kill him. She said it simply, calmly, like discussing dinner plans. I meet him, get him talking, record everything, and when he admits what he's done. She smiled, cold, sharp. You put a bullet in his head. Dante studied her, then slowly smiled back. You're vicious. I learned from the best. She pulled on the vest. Set it up. Tell Roberto I'll meet him, alone, in the garden, 30 minutes. He'll never go for alone. He will if he thinks he's won. She checked her phone. 11 hours until the deadline. Tell him I'm broken. Tell him I'm giving up. Tell him whatever he needs to hear. And if this doesn't work? She looked at him. Then we all die anyway. At least this way we die fighting. 28 minutes later, Serafina walked into the garden alone. No weapons. No vest. She'd removed it at the last second, knowing Roberto would check. Just her in a simple black dress, hands empty, face carefully composed into defeat. The garden was full of armed men. Roberto's soldiers positioned strategically, guns pointed at her from every angle. She could feel the red dots of laser sights on her chest, her head, her back. Roberto Moretti stood in the center, near the fountain where she'd played as a child. He was her father's brother, but they looked nothing alike. Where Vittorio was silver and sophisticated, Roberto was dark and brutal, thick shoulders, scarred hands, eyes like dead coals. Serafina, he said, voice like gravel. I'm surprised you came. I'm tired of running. She stopped 10 feet away, close enough to talk, far enough to react if needed. You win, Uncle. I surrender. He laughed. Actually, laughed. Just like that? No fight? No defiance? Where's the girl who ran away to America? Where's the rebel? She died. Serafina's voice was hollow. Somewhere between Silicon Valley and here. She died, and I realized. She gestured at the estate, the men, the guns. I realized this is all there is. Family, power, blood, everything else is fantasy. Now you sound like a Moretti. Roberto moved closer. His men shifted, keeping their sights trained. Your father coddled you. Let you think you could be something else. Something clean. But I always knew, blood tells. You're your father's daughter. Violent, ruthless, just like him. Just like you, she said. Exactly like me. He smiled. Which is why this is such a waste. You could have been useful, could have helped me rebuild the family the right way, expand our operations, take what's ours. But I'm too dangerous. But you're too dangerous, he agreed. You know too much, did too much. The evidence, he shook his head. That was genius, actually. I have to give Marcus credit. Building that case against you, documenting everything. I thought for sure you'd figure it out sooner. I was in love, she said bitterly. Blind, stupid. Love. Roberto spat the word. Love is a disease. Your father has it too. Loves you too much. Won't make the hard choices. Won't do what's necessary to protect the family. He circled her slowly. But I will. I've always been willing to do what Vittorio won't. Like killing your niece? Like eliminating threats. He stopped in front of her. Nothing personal, Serafina. You understand. Business. I understand. She met his eyes. But I have one question. What? Did you really think I'd come out here unarmed? Roberto's expression flickered. Just for a second. Confusion. Then realization. He started to turn, to shout to his men. The shots came from everywhere at once. Dante's soldiers hidden in the shadows, on the roofs, behind statues. They'd been there the whole time, waiting. Professional, silent, deadly. Roberto's men dropped. 1, 2, 5, 10. Bodies hitting the ground with wet, final sounds. Roberto dove for cover, pulling a gun from his jacket, but Serafina was faster. She'd palmed a knife from her sleeve, small, ceramic, invisible to metal detectors, and threw it in one smooth motion. It caught Roberto in the shoulder. He screamed, spun, fired wildly. The bullet grazed Serafina's arm, hot pain. She stumbled, fell. And Dante was there, stepping from the shadows with a pistol raised, perfectly calm, perfectly steady. Roberto Moretti, he said quietly, for crimes against both families, for treason, for attempted murder. He pulled the trigger. The shot was clean, professional, right between the eyes. Roberto's body hit the ground. Silence. Serafina lay there, breathing hard, blood running down her arm. All around her, Roberto's men were dead or dying. The garden smelled like gunpowder and copper. Dante appeared above her, blocking out the stars. You're hit. I'm fine. She let him pull her up. Her arm was screaming, but the bullet had only grazed. Flesh wound. Painful, but not fatal. Is it done? It's done. He was already moving, checking bodies, coordinating cleanup. Get her inside. Get that wound treated. I want this place cleaned up in 20 minutes. No evidence, no traces. Soldiers moved to obey. Serafina walked back to the house in a daze. Everything felt unreal, distant, like watching herself from far away. She found her father in his study, sitting in his chair, staring at nothing. "Papa?" she said. He looked up, saw the blood on her arm, his face crumpled. "My brother," he said, voice broken. "My own brother tried to—" "I know." She moved to him, let him pull her into an embrace. "I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry." His voice was muffled against her hair. "You did what had to be done. You survived. That's all that matters." They stood like that for a long time. Finally, Vittorio pulled back, looked at her. "The evidence?" Roberto had the only copies. "With him dead, it's still out there," Serafina said. "The deadline is still active. Someone else has it." "Then who?" Before she could answer, Dante appeared in the doorway. "We have a problem," he said. "A message just came through, from the people holding the evidence." "What does it say?" Dante's face was grim. Roberto Moretti was working with someone, a partner, someone outside the family. He handed her a tablet. She read the message, felt her blood turn to ice. "Congratulations on eliminating your uncle." But he was just a middleman. "The real deadline stands. You have 6 hours to comply with the original demands or the evidence goes public. And this time, there's no one left to blame. P.S. Say hello to your ex-husband for me. He's been very helpful." Below the message was a photo. Ethan, bound to a chair, blood on his face, eyes wide with terror, and standing behind him, gun to his head. Lina Varelli, alive, smiling. Serafina's hand started shaking. "That's impossible. She's dead. They said—" "They lied." Dante's voice was flat. "Or we were meant to think she was dead. Either way." He gestured at the screen. "She's very much alive. And she has Ethan, and the evidence, and now we're out of options," Vittorio finished. Serafina stared at the photo, at Lina's smile, at Ethan's terrified eyes, at the gun, at the message. 6 hours. "What do we do?" she whispered. No one answered, because for the first time in her life, Serafina Moretti Rinaldi, daughter of a Mafia king, wife of a crime lord, builder of empires, had absolutely no idea how to survive what was coming next. The photo of Ethan bound and bleeding burned into Serafina's retinas. She stared at the screen until her vision blurred, until the image became abstract, just shapes and colors, and the sick reality that Lina Varelli was alive, had been alive this whole time, playing dead while orchestrating everything from the shadows. "How?" The word came out strangled. "How is she alive? There was a body, a death certificate. The police were paid off or fooled." Dante was already on his phone, barking orders in rapid Italian. "Doesn't matter how. What matters is she has Ethan, has the evidence. And he checked his watch. 5 hours and 42 minutes. She burns us all down unless we give her what she wants." "Which is what exactly?" Vittorio's voice was ice. He'd recovered from the shock of his brother's betrayal, had locked it away somewhere deep. Now he was all business, all strategy. The original demand was for Serafina to disappear. But if Lina's behind this, if she's been behind this from the start, then there's something else. Something bigger. Serafina's mind was racing, clicking through possibilities like shuffling cards. Lina had seduced Ethan, faked a pregnancy, faked her own death, collected years of evidence, worked with Roberto. All of it leading to this moment. "It's not about me leaving," she said slowly. That was never the endgame. It was about control. About... She stopped, looked at her father. "Papa, what does the Moretti family control that the Rinaldis don't?" Vittorio frowned. "Several operations. The ports in Naples and Palermo. The political connections in Rome. He stopped. His face went pale. "The trafficking routes through North Africa." "Worth how much annually?" "Conservatively? 2 billion euros. Her father's jaw tightened. But those routes have been Moretti controlled for 40 years. They're not for sale, not negotiable, not, unless you're compromised, Dante finished. His eyes were sharp, calculating. If Serafina goes down, takes you with her, leaves the family in chaos, someone has to take control. And if Roberto had succeeded in his coup, he would have been that someone. But Roberto's dead now, Serafina said. So who inherits? The answer hit all three of them simultaneously. Lena, Vittorio whispered. If she has documentation proving she worked with Roberto, if she can claim legitimacy, if she has the political connections, she could position herself as the natural successor, Dante said, especially if she's backed by someone powerful, someone who wants access to those routes. Serafina pulled out her phone, pulled up everything she could find on Lena Virelli in 60 seconds of frantic searching. Born in Naples. Father unknown. Mother died when she was young, raised by her uncle. She stopped, stared at the name. Victor Salazar, she read aloud. Lena Virelli's maternal uncle is Victor Salazar. The room went silent. We didn't destroy Salazar, Dante said quietly. We pushed him underground, made him desperate, and desperate men make alliances. With Roberto, Serafina said. Roberto wanted the trafficking routes, wanted to expand into Eastern Europe like he'd always planned. But he needed capital, needed a partner who could move money. So he reached out to Salazar, her father finished, who sent his niece to infiltrate your marriage, to collect evidence, to set up the infrastructure for a takeover. He slammed his fist on the desk. Merda, we've been playing checkers while they played chess. And now they have Ethan, Serafina said. Why? What's he worth to them? Dante pulled up files on his tablet. Financial records, stock holdings, corporate structures. Ethan's company has contracts with 3 major shipping firms, legitimate businesses that move cargo worldwide. If Salazar controls those shipping lanes, if he can use them to move product hidden in legitimate freight, he looked up. He could triple his operation overnight. But Ethan would never cooperate, Serafina said. He doesn't have to cooperate willingly. Dante zoomed in on a document. Look, Ethan's shares in the company are held in a trust, and the trust has a provision. If he's deemed mentally incompetent or legally incapacitated, control passes to his next of kin. He doesn't have next of kin. His parents are dead. No siblings. Actually, Dante's smile was grim. As of 3 days ago, he does. Lena Virelli filed paperwork in California claiming to be his common-law wife. They were never legally married, but California recognizes domestic partnerships under certain conditions. If she can prove they lived together, shared finances, presented themselves as a couple, she inherits if he dies, Serafina finished. The full scope of the plan was crystallizing now. Elegant, brutal. She kills Ethan, claims the company, uses the shipping contracts to move Salazar's product, and the evidence against me, against all of us, ensures we can't retaliate without destroying ourselves. Checkmate, Vittorio said bitterly. Not yet. Serafina stood. Her arm was throbbing where the bullet had grazed it, blood seeping through the hasty bandage. She ignored it. We have 5 hours. That's enough time. Enough time for what? Dante asked. To flip the board. She looked at both men. Lena wants me to disappear. Fine. I'll disappear, but not the way she expects. What are you planning? A trade. Serafina's voice was steady, cold. Me for Ethan. Direct exchange. She gets what she wants. Me gone. Out of the picture. Powerless. And we get Ethan back alive. That's suicide, her father said flatly. The moment you're in her hands, she kills me. I know. Serafina met his eyes. Unless I make myself more valuable alive than dead. How? By giving her something she wants more than revenge. More than the trafficking routes. More than all of it. She pulled out her phone, started typing. I'm going to offer her the one thing that makes this entire operation worthwhile. Which is? Complete control of the Moretti empire. The silence that followed was deafening. Vittorio stood slowly. His face was carved from stone. You've lost your mind. Have I? Serafina didn't back down. Think about it, Papa. Lena's playing for the trafficking routes. That's her prize. But what if I offer her everything? The ports, the political connections, the legitimate businesses, the offshore accounts. All of it. That's not yours to offer.
It will be if you make me your heir.
Officially, legally. She moved closer. Right now, if you die, the family fractures, gets divided among the cousins, the old guard, whoever's strongest. It's chaos. But if you name me, your daughter, your blood, as your successor, it's clean, legitimate. And then you hand it all to Lena Varelli? Vittorio's voice was shaking. Give everything I've built to the woman who's trying to destroy us?
No, I hand it to her as a trap. Serafina's eyes were bright, feverish. She thinks she's won, thinks she's getting the ultimate prize. But what she's actually getting is a target painted on her back. Every rival family, every enemy we've ever made, every competitor who's been waiting for weakness, they'll all come for her. Because a woman who inherits an empire through betrayal, who takes power without earning it, without blood right? She smiled. She'll be dead within a month. Dante was staring at her. That's vicious, Vittorio finished. Ruthless. He studied his daughter. You've become what I always hoped you'd be. I've become what I had to be. Serafina's voice was hollow. So, will you do it? Will you name me heir? Her father looked at Dante. Some unspoken communication passed between them. Then Vittorio nodded slowly. On one condition, he said. You survive this. You make the trade, set the trap, and you survive. Because I'm not losing you twice, Serafina. Once was enough. I'll survive, she lied. I always do. The paperwork took 90 minutes. Lawyers pulled from sleep, documents drafted and signed, everything made legal and binding. Serafina Moretti Rinaldi, sole heir to the Moretti fortune. It was done with witnesses, notarized, filed with officials who were on the family payroll. By the time the last signature dried, she had 3 hours and 20 minutes left. Dante found her on the balcony of their bedroom, staring at the Mediterranean. The water was black under the moonless sky, infinite and cold. You're really going through with this, he said. Not a question. Yes. You know it's a trap, that she'll try to kill you anyway. I know. And you're going alone. I have to. It's the only way she'll believe it. Serafina turned to face him. If I bring soldiers, if I bring backup, she'll know it's a setup. She'll kill Ethan and release the evidence out of spite. So you're sacrificing yourself for him. Dante's voice was hard. For the man who betrayed you, who threw you away. Who's the reason you're in this mess? I'm not doing it for him. She was surprised by how true that felt. I'm doing it because it's the right move. The strategic move. Ethan alive gives us options. Ethan dead makes Lena untouchable. And if you die in the process, she smiled, then you inherit the Moretti empire through marriage, consolidate both families, become the most powerful man in Europe. She moved closer. You'll be fine, Dante. You don't need me. He grabbed her wrist. Not hard, but firm. That's not the point. Then what is the point? The point... He stopped, seemed to struggle with something. The point is that I didn't expect to care about you, about this. It was supposed to be business, clean, simple. But somewhere between the wedding and now, you became... He stopped again, released her wrist. You became someone I don't want to lose. Serafina felt something crack in her chest. Don't do this. Don't make this harder. Why not? Someone should. He caught her face in his hands, forced her to look at him. Listen to me. You don't have to be the martyr. We can find another way. We can... There is no other way. Her voice broke. I've run every scenario, every possibility. This is the only move that works. That saves the families. That ends this. At the cost of your life. At the cost of my life, she agreed. But I've been dead before, Dante. I died when Ethan betrayed me. This time, she pulled his hands away gently. This time, I get to choose how it ends. He stared at her for a long moment, then pulled her into a kiss, hard, desperate, nothing like their wedding kiss. This one tasted like goodbye. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. Come back, he said roughly. Whatever it takes. You come back. I'll try. Promise me. I can't promise that. Then promise me you'll fight. Promise me you won't just give up. She thought about it, about everything that had led her here. The choices, the betrayals, the slow death of the girl she'd been,
and the birth of the woman she'd become. "I promise," she said. "I'll fight." At 2:47 a.m., Serafina's phone buzzed with coordinates. A warehouse in the industrial district outside Palermo, 40 minutes away. "Come alone. No weapons. No wire. No backup. Or Ethan Cole dies screaming." She showed the message to Dante and her father. "We can have men in position," Dante said. "Hidden, close enough to move if things go wrong." "No." Serafina was already changing into dark clothes, practical, easy to move in. "She'll have counter surveillance. She'll be watching for exactly that." "Then wear a tracker, something small, something she won't find." "She'll check. She's too smart not to." Serafina pulled on boots. "I'm going in completely clean. It's the only way." "This is insane," Vittorio said. His voice was strained. "Let me go instead. Let me—" "She doesn't want you, Papa. She wants me." Serafina kissed his cheek. "Trust me. I know what I'm doing." She didn't, not really, but saying it out loud made it feel more true. The drive to the warehouse was silent. Serafina went alone, in a car with no GPS, no phone, no connection to anyone. Just her and the road and the growing certainty that she was driving toward her death. She thought about Ethan, about the life they'd built together, the fantasy they'd lived. It felt like 100 years ago, like it had happened to someone else. She thought about Dante, about the kiss, about the way he'd looked at her like she mattered. She thought about her father, about coming home, about becoming who she was always meant to be. And she thought about Lena Varelli, about underestimation, about how men, how everyone, had underestimated both of them, had thought they were just pretty faces, just accessories, just women who existed in relation to more powerful men. They were going to learn. The warehouse loomed in the darkness, a massive structure of rusted metal and broken windows. No lights, no signs of life, just emptiness and shadows. Serafina parked 50 yards away, got out, walked toward the entrance. The door was unlocked. She pushed it open. Inside, the warehouse was cavernous, empty except for a few scattered crates and decades of dust. And in the center, under a single hanging light, Ethan, still bound to the chair, still bleeding, but alive. His eyes widened when he saw her. "Sarah," he croaked. "Don't. It's a trap." "I know it's a trap." She walked toward him slowly, hands visible, empty. "That's why I'm here." Such a touching reunion. The voice came from everywhere, speakers hidden throughout the warehouse. Lena's voice, distorted slightly but unmistakable. "I'm here," Serafina called out. "Like you asked. Alone, unarmed. Now let him go." Laughter echoed through the space. "You think I'm stupid? You think I don't know this is some kind of setup?" "It's not a setup. I'm here to make a deal." "I don't make deals with dead women." "Then you're going to miss out on something very valuable." Serafina stopped 10 feet from Ethan, raised her voice. "I'm prepared to offer you complete control of the Moretti empire. Everything. The ports, the routes, the offshore accounts. All of it. Legally transferred. Binding and permanent." Silence. Long enough that Serafina wondered if Lena had left. Then, "Why would you do that?" "Because I'm tired." Serafina let real exhaustion bleed into her voice. "Tired of fighting. Tired of running. Tired of being a pawn in games I didn't start. You want the empire? Take it. I don't care anymore." "You expect me to believe that?" "I expect you to be smart enough to recognize an opportunity." Serafina pulled out a document from her jacket, held it up. "My father made me his heir. Official, legal, notarized. This paper makes me the sole inheritor of everything he's built, and I'm willing to sign it over to you right now, in exchange for Ethan's life and the destruction of all evidence against me." More silence, then footsteps. Lena emerged from the shadows at the far end of the warehouse. She looked different than Serafina remembered. Harder. Her hair was cut short. She wore tactical gear, a gun holstered at her hip. Behind her, 4 men with rifles. Professional. Alert. She walked to the center of the warehouse, stopped 20 feet away. "Show me the document," she said. Serafina held it out. One of Lena's men approached, took it, brought it back to her. Lena read it carefully. Her eyes widened slightly. "This is real," she said. "I told you. I'm offering you everything."
Why? Lena looked up. What's the catch? No catch, just conditions. Serafina kept her voice steady. You let Ethan go. You destroy all copies of the evidence, and you leave me alone. I disappear. Start over somewhere far away. We never see each other again. Lena studied her. You're lying. This is too easy. It's easy because I'm done fighting. Serafina let her shoulders slump. You won, Lena. You got into my marriage. You destroyed my life. You manipulated everything. You proved you're smarter than me. So take your prize and let me go. The words tasted like ash, but Lena's expression shifted, softened, because everyone wants to believe they're the smartest person in the room. You really are giving up, Lena said, almost disappointed. I really am. Lena looked at the document again, at her men, at Ethan slumped in the chair, then back at Serafina. All right, she said, but I'm not stupid. You sign it over here, now, in front of witnesses, and then, she smiled, then I still kill you, because you're a loose end, Serafina, and I don't leave loose ends. I expected that. Serafina's voice was calm. But you're making a mistake. Am I? Yes. Because killing me means you inherit through force, through murder, and the families don't respect that. They'll come after you, all of them. You'll be fighting wars on 6 fronts within a week. I can handle wars. Can you? Serafina took a step closer. Lena's men tensed. Or are you overestimating yourself? The same way I overestimated Ethan. The same way everyone in this game eventually does. Lena's smile faded. What are you saying? I'm saying there's a third option. One where we both win. Serafina's heart was hammering, but her voice stayed level. You let me live. Let me disappear like I said. And in exchange, I become your insurance policy. How? Because if you kill me, you're a murderer, a usurper. But if I transfer power willingly, if I publicly endorse you as my successor, if I tell the families this is my choice, she spread her hands, then you're legitimate. You're chosen. You're untouchable. Lena's eyes narrowed. You do that? Publicly support me? If it means I get to live? Yes. Serafina injected desperation into her voice, made herself small. I don't care about power anymore, Lena. I just want out. The silence stretched. Serafina could see Lena calculating, weighing options, trying to find the trap. There was a trap, but not the one Lena was looking for. Okay, Lena said finally. You sign the document, you make a video statement endorsing me, and then you have 24 hours to disappear. If I ever see you again, if you ever try to come back, if you ever breathe a word about any of this, she touched her gun. I hunt you down and make it slow. Understood. And Ethan? Let him go. He's not part of this anymore. Lena looked at Ethan with contempt. Fine, he's useless anyway. She nodded to one of her men. Cut him loose. The soldier approached Ethan with a knife. Cut the ropes. Ethan slumped forward, nearly fell. The soldier caught him, hauled him to his feet. Sarah! Ethan's voice was wrecked. Don't do this. Don't trust her. Get him out of here, Lena ordered. 2 men grabbed Ethan, started dragging him toward a side door. Wait! Serafina's voice cracked. Can I say goodbye? Lena considered, then shrugged. 30 seconds. Make it count. Serafina walked to Ethan. The men holding him stepped back slightly. She looked at his battered face, his broken expression, this man she'd loved, this man who'd destroyed her. I'm sorry, Ethan whispered. For everything. I'm so fucking sorry. I know. She touched his face gently. But sorry doesn't fix this. I know, His voice broke. I wish I could go back. Change it all. Choose you. You did choose me. Once. She leaned in close, whispered directly in his ear, too quiet for anyone else to hear. Now return the favor. There's a gun taped under the 3rd crate from the left. When I move, you move. Understand? She felt him stiffen. Then, barely perceptible, he nodded. She pulled back, kissed his forehead. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Sarah. The men dragged him away. The door clanged shut behind them. Serafina turned back to Lena. Now,
Let's make this official. Lena produced a pen, handed over the document. Sign at the bottom, all 3 pages. Serafina took the pen, looked at the papers. This was it. The point of no return. If she signed this, if she went through with it, everything changed. She signed, first page, second page, third page. Her signature, Serafina Moretti Rinaldi, in black ink. Binding, legal, done. Lena took the document, examined it, smiled. Excellent. Now the video. One of her men produced a phone, set it up on a tripod, pointed it at Serafina. When I say go, Lena said, you're going to state your name. Confirm that you're transferring all rights and holdings of the Moretti Empire to me. Say it's your choice, your decision. Make it convincing. Serafina nodded, positioned herself in front of the camera. Lena counted down. 3, 2, 1, go. Serafina looked directly into the lens. My name is Serafina Moretti Rinaldi, daughter of Vittorio Moretti, wife of Dante Rinaldi, and as of this moment I am transferring all rights, holdings, and claims to the Moretti family empire to... She stopped, smiled. To absolutely no one, because this was all a lie. Lena's face went white. What? Serafina moved, fast. Faster than she'd moved in her life. Diving left as Lena's men raised their weapons, hitting the ground, rolling behind a crate as bullets sprayed where she'd been standing. At the same time, the side door exploded inward. Dante and 20 Rinaldi soldiers poured through, weapons raised, firing with precision. Lena's men went down. 1, 2, 3. Bodies hitting concrete. Lena dove for cover, returning fire. You bitch, you lying... But Serafina wasn't listening. She was crawling fast, low to the ground, toward the third crate from the left. Found the gun exactly where she'd planted it hours ago when she'd scouted the warehouse, before any of this started, because she'd never planned to sacrifice herself. She'd planned to end this. She grabbed the gun, spun, saw Lena 30 feet away behind cover, shooting at Dante's men, saw the opening, fired. The bullet caught Lena in the shoulder. She screamed, fell back. Serafina was already moving, closing the distance, gun raised. She reached Lena's position, kicked away the woman's weapon. Lena looked up at her, blood spreading across her tactical gear, eyes wide, furious. You played me, she gasped. I learned from the best. Serafina aimed the gun at her head. The document was fake. The signatures were fake. Everything was theater, and you bought it because you wanted to believe you'd won. Salazar's already dead. Dante had people on him the moment we identified the connection. He was killed an hour ago in Mexico City. Serafina's voice was ice. You're alone, Lena. No backup, no uncle, no plan. Just you and the consequences of underestimating me. Lena laughed. Actually laughed, blood bubbling at her lips. You think killing me ends this? The evidence is still out there, still ready to... No, it's not. Serafina pulled out her phone, showed Lena the screen, a confirmation from Dante's tech team. We found the servers, all of them, every copy, every backup. We've been scrubbing them for the past 2 hours while you were focused on this meeting. It's gone, Lena. All of it. The color drained from Lena's face. No, that's impossible. Nothing's impossible when you have the resources of 2 families working together. Serafina crouched down, looked Lena in the eyes. You came for a queen, but you forgot. Queens don't play alone. They build empires. She stood, raised the gun. Wait. Lena's voice was desperate now. Wait. We can make a deal. I know things. About other operations, other families. I can be useful. I don't make deals with people who threaten my family. Please. Serafina pulled the trigger. The sound echoed through the warehouse. Then silence. Dante appeared at her side. It's done. All her men are down. Ethan's secure. He stopped, looked at her. Are you all right? Serafina looked at Lena's body, at the blood pooling on concrete, at the woman who'd tried to destroy her and had nearly succeeded. I'm fine, she said, but her hands were shaking. Dante took the gun gently. Come on, let's get out of here. They walked out of the warehouse together into the pre-dawn darkness. The Rinaldi soldiers were already cleaning up, erasing evidence, making the scene disappear. Ethan was leaning against a car, a medic treating his wounds. He looked up when Serafina approached. "You saved my life," he said quietly. "I saved my own life. You were just there." She studied him. This man she'd loved, this stranger. "What will you do now?"
I don't know. Go back to California. Try to salvage what's left of the company. He stopped. Try to figure out who I am without you. Good luck with that. Serafina, I know I don't deserve it, but his voice cracked. Can you ever forgive me? She thought about it, really thought. No, she said finally, but I don't hate you either. You're just, she searched for the word. Nothing. You're nothing to me now. And maybe that's worse than hate.
He flinched but nodded. I understand. Good. She turned to walk away. Serafina, he called after her, for what it's worth, you're terrifying, and I'm glad I'll never have to face you as an enemy again. She smiled. So am I. Dante was waiting by their car. As they drove away from the warehouse, away from the carnage, he reached over and took her hand. That was insane, he said. Brilliant and insane. Had to be both. The fake document, the staged surrender, the hidden gun. He shook his head. When did you plant it? Yesterday. After we identified the location. I had one of your men sneak in and prep the scene. She leaned her head back, exhausted. I knew she'd want to meet somewhere she controlled, somewhere she felt safe. So I made sure I controlled it first. And the document? Forged. Your lawyers helped. It looks real, but it's not legally binding. Wrong notary stamp, wrong witnesses. Would have fallen apart under any real scrutiny. She looked at him. But Lena didn't scrutinize. She just saw what she wanted to see. You're scary when you're strategic. I learned from my father, from you. She squeezed his hand. From everyone who underestimated me. They drove in silence for a while. The sky was getting lighter, dawn breaking over the Mediterranean. What happens now? Dante asked. Now? Serafina thought about it, about everything that had happened, everything she'd lost and gained and become. Now we go home. We rebuild. We make sure everyone knows that the Moretti-Rinaldi alliance is unbreakable. She paused. And we make sure no one ever underestimates us again. Us, Dante repeated, smiled slightly. I like the sound of that. So do I. When they reached the estate, Vittorio was waiting on the steps. He looked older in the dawn light, worn, but when he saw Serafina alive, his face transformed. He pulled her into an embrace, held her tight. Never again, he whispered fiercely. You never risk yourself like that again. I can't promise that, Papa. Then I'll just have to make sure you have enough backup that you never have to. He pulled back, looked at her. You did well, Piccola. Better than well. He stopped, looked past her. His expression changed. Serafina turned and froze. At the gates of the estate, a line of black cars was pulling up. Expensive, official, and flying flags she recognized. Law enforcement, federal police, Interpol. No, Vittorio breathed. No, we destroyed the evidence. We destroyed Lena's evidence, Dante said, voice tight. But if there was another copy, another source, the cars stopped. Doors opened. Men in suits emerged, badges visible, weapons holstered but present. A woman stepped forward, mid-40s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. She held up credentials. Vittorio Moretti, Dante Rinaldi, Serafina Moretti Rinaldi. Her voice was clear, authoritative. You're all under arrest for racketeering, money laundering, conspiracy to commit murder, and approximately 47 other charges. You have the right to remain silent. But Serafina wasn't listening, because standing behind the federal agent, half hidden in the shadows of the cars, was a face she recognized. Marcus Chen, very much alive, smiling, and beside him, a man she'd never seen before, but knew instantly. Had to be. The real power behind everything. Tall, silver-haired, expensive suit, eyes like a shark. He met her gaze, nodded once, and she understood. Lena had been a distraction, a puppet, The real player had been orchestrating everything from the shadows, had let them think they'd won, had let them destroy themselves. And now they had nothing left. No evidence destroyed could save them, because the evidence had never been in Lena's hands. It had been in theirs all along. The federal agents moved forward, handcuffs out. Serafina looked at her father, at Dante, at the life she'd fought so hard to reclaim, and felt it slip through her fingers like water. "Cuff them," the lead agent said, and the world went dark. The handcuffs closed around Serafina's wrists with a sound like a coffin lid slamming shut. Cold metal biting into skin. Final. Absolute. She didn't resist, didn't struggle, just stood there on the steps of her father's estate, watching federal agents swarm the property like ants on a corpse, and felt the last threads of control slip away. Beside her, Dante was already being read his rights. His face was stone, unreadable, but his hands were clenched tight enough that his knuckles had gone white. Her father, Vittorio Moretti, who'd survived 40 years in a business that killed most men within 10, looked small suddenly, fragile. The silver-haired agent was speaking to him in rapid Italian, listing charges that would put him away for the rest of his natural life, and he just nodded. Like he'd been expecting this. Like he'd always known this was how it would end. Serafina's eyes found Marcus Chen across the courtyard. He was watching the arrests with satisfaction painted all over his face. Very much alive, very much not the suicide victim he'd been reported as. The pieces clicked into place with sickening clarity. He'd faked his death, gone underground, fed information to the feds while Lena ran the distraction operation. Every move Serafina had made, every counterplay, every desperate gambit, all of it had been anticipated, accounted for, used against her. And the man standing beside Marcus, the silver-haired stranger with shark eyes. He was watching her now, not gloating, just observing, clinical, like a scientist watching an experiment conclude exactly as predicted. "Who is he?" Serafina asked. Her voice was steady despite everything. The lead agent, a woman named Morrison according to her badge, followed Serafina's gaze. "That's Director Chen, Marcus's older brother, head of the FBI's Organized Crime Task Force. He's been building this case for 7 years." 7 years. Before she'd even met Ethan, before she'd left the family. Before any of this started. "You were the target from the beginning," Morrison said. Not unkindly, almost respectfully. "Your father's operation was too insulated, too careful. We couldn't get close. But you were young, idealistic, looking for a way out." She gestured toward the waiting vehicles. "Director Chen predicted you'd fall in love with someone outside the family, that you'd use your connections to help them, that you'd create a paper trail we could follow."
"So you planted Marcus," Serafina said slowly, "made him available, made him seem like one of ours, and then waited for me to recommend him."
"We didn't plant him. We just made sure his name appeared in the right databases, on the right lists. Your people did their due diligence and found exactly what we wanted them to find. A financial expert with connections to European operations, someone trustworthy, someone useful." Morrison's expression was almost sympathetic. "You did this to yourself, Ms. Moretti. Every choice, every decision. You built your own cage." The words hit like physical blows. Because they were true. Every terrible, undeniable word. She'd recommended Marcus because he'd seemed perfect. She'd trusted him because he'd been vetted. She'd built Ethan's empire using her family's resources because she'd thought she was being smart, strategic, and all of it, every single move, had been feeding evidence to the FBI. "My daughter had nothing to do with my operations," Vittorio said suddenly. His voice was rough, desperate. "She left the family, cut ties. Whatever crimes I committed, she wasn't involved." "That's not what the evidence shows," Director Chen said. He spoke for the first time. His voice was measured, educated, nothing like his brother's accounting department drone. "We have 7 years of documentation showing Miss Moretti facilitating money laundering operations, bribing officials, using offshore accounts to move illegal funds. She may have left Sicily, sir, but she took your playbook with her."
"I was trying to build something legitimate," Serafina said. Her voice sounded hollow, even to her own ears. You thought you could launder dirty money into clean businesses and call it legitimate." Chen's smile was thin. "That's not how it works. That's just crime with better public relations. Morrison pulled Serafina toward one of the waiting vehicles. We need to get you processed, all three of you, downtown. You'll be arraigned within 48 hours. Wait! Serafina stopped walking, turned back. Ethan Cole. What happens to him? Mr. Cole is cooperating with our investigation, Chen said, in exchange for immunity. The ground tilted. What?
He's been cooperating for the past 6 months, ever since he discovered what you were really doing, what you'd really built his company on. Chen pulled out a tablet, showed her emails, transcripts, recordings. He contacted us, offered to provide evidence, to testify, in exchange for complete immunity and witness protection. Serafina stared at the screen, at Ethan's signature on cooperation agreements, at dates. 6 months ago, right around when Lena had entered the picture, right around when everything started falling apart. He set me up, she whispered. He saved himself, Chen corrected. Your ex-husband is many things, Ms. Moretti. Stupid isn't one of them. He saw the writing on the wall. Made the smart choice. The smart choice. Betray her completely. Feed her to the feds, save his own skin. Serafina started laughing. Couldn't help it. The sound came out broken and terrible, but she couldn't stop. Because of course Ethan had betrayed her again. Why wouldn't he? It was what he did. What he'd always done. Get her in the car, Morrison said quietly. They shoved Serafina into the back of a black sedan. Dante was pushed in beside her. The doors slammed shut. Through the window, she watched her father being led to another vehicle. He looked back once. Their eyes met. He mouthed 2 words. Forgive me. Then he was gone. The processing took hours. Fingerprints, photographs, medical examination. Serafina moved through it in a daze, answering questions on autopilot, her mind somewhere else entirely. They separated her from Dante and her father. Put her in a holding cell alone, concrete walls, metal bench, fluorescent lights that buzzed like dying insects. She sat on the bench and stared at nothing, tried to figure out where it had all gone wrong. But there was no single moment, no pivot point, just a long series of choices, each one seeming reasonable at the time, each one leading her deeper into the trap. Falling in love with Ethan, leaving the family, using her connections to help him, recommending Marcus, coming back after the divorce, marrying Dante, going after Salazar and Lena. Every move had made sense, had felt right, and every move had been exactly what her enemies wanted. She'd been played from the beginning, and the worst part, the part that made her stomach turn, was that she'd played herself. The door opened. Morrison stepped in, carrying a folder. Your lawyer's here, she said. You've got 15 minutes. The lawyer was someone Serafina didn't recognize. Young, sharp suit, Rinaldi family attorney, she guessed. He sat down across from her, opened his briefcase. Mrs. Rinaldi, I'm David Castellano. Your husband retained me. He pulled out documents. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The evidence against you is overwhelming. They have financial records going back 7 years. Testimony from Marcus Chen, cooperation from Ethan Cole. They've got you on money laundering, racketeering, conspiracy. How long? Serafina interrupted. How long what? How long will I be in prison? Castellano was quiet for a moment. If convicted on all charges? Minimum 30 years. Realistically, life. Life. The word hung in the air like smoke. What are my options? She asked. Limited. You could cooperate, provide testimony against your father and Dante Rinaldi. The prosecution might offer a deal, reduce sentence, maybe 15 to 20 years instead of life. And if I don't cooperate, then you go to trial, and you lose. The evidence is too strong, too comprehensive. He leaned forward. Miss Moretti, I know you come from a world where loyalty means everything. But that world is over. Your father's going away, Dante's going away. The empire is finished. The only question now is how long you want to spend in prison. Serafina looked at her hands, at the bruises forming around her wrists where the handcuffs had been, at the blood under her fingernails from the warehouse, from Lena. I need to think, she said. You have 48 hours until arraignment. After that, any deal on the table disappears. Castellano stood. Think fast, Ms. Moretti. Your life depends on it. After he left, Serafina lay down on the metal bench, closed her eyes. And for the first time in days, maybe weeks, let herself cry. Not for what she'd lost, for what she'd never really had. The arraignment happened in a packed courtroom. Media everywhere, cameras, reporters. The Moretti Rinaldi arrests were international news. Mafia dynasty collapses. Crime families destroyed in FBI sting. The headlines were lurid and mostly accurate. Serafina stood before the judge in an orange jumpsuit. Beside her, Dante. At separate tables, her father and 6 other family members, all of them facing identical charges. The judge, a severe woman in her 60s, read through the charges. It took 15 minutes. When she finished, she looked at Serafina. "How do you plead?" Serafina opened her mouth, closed it. Every eye in the courtroom was on her, waiting. She thought about her father, about loyalty, about blood. She thought about Dante, about their marriage, about the kiss in the moonlight. She thought about Ethan, about betrayal, about saving yourself. "Not guilty," she said. The judge nodded, set bail at $10 million, an amount designed to be impossible. Trial is set for 6 months from today. Defendants will be held without bond pending. "Your Honor," a voice from the back of the courtroom. Everyone turned. A man in an expensive suit was standing, distinguished, powerful looking. Serafina didn't recognize him. "And you are?" the judge asked. "Thomas Brennan, attorney for Mrs. Rinaldi. I'd like to request a sidebar, Your Honor. Immediately." The judge frowned. "On what grounds?" "On grounds that will significantly impact these proceedings. I have information the prosecution needs to hear. In chambers. Now." Morrison and Director Chen exchanged glances. The judge hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. Chambers, 5 minutes." They filed into the judge's private office. Brennan produced a file, laid it on the desk. "3 weeks ago," he said, "my client contacted me. She believed she was being set up, that evidence was being manufactured against her. She asked me to conduct an independent investigation." "This is highly irregular," Morrison said. "So is framing someone for crimes they didn't commit." Brennan opened the file. "Marcus Chen, your star witness, your 7-year embedded operative. He's been falsifying evidence." "That's ridiculous," Director Chen said, but his voice wavered slightly. "Is it?" Brennan pulled out documents, bank records, digital forensics. "These are the original files from Mr. Chen's servers, the ones you based your entire case on. And these," he laid out another set, "are the actual records. Notice the differences?" Morrison leaned in. Her face went pale. "He altered dates," Brennan continued. "Changed amounts. Fabricated entire transactions. My client did engage in some questionable financial activities. She's not claiming complete innocence, but not to the extent your case suggests. Marcus Chen has been padding the evidence, making it seem worse than it was. Why? Because his brother," he looked at Director Chen, "needed a career-making case, and a mid-level money laundering charge wasn't sexy enough." "This is absurd," Director Chen said, but he was sweating now. "My forensic accountants have verified everything. Chain of custody, digital signatures, metadata." Brennan crossed his arms. "If you proceed with this prosecution based on falsified evidence, I will destroy you in court. The case will collapse. Your reputation will be ruined, and Marcus Chen will go to prison for obstruction of justice." The room was silent. The judge looked at Morrison. "Is this true?" Morrison was flipping through the documents. Her hands were shaking. I need time to verify." "You have 24 hours, the judge said, voice hard. "If this evidence is falsified, these charges are dismissed. If not, we proceed to trial." She looked at Serafina. "Until then, bail is set at $1 million, court adjourned." They filed back into the courtroom. The judge made the announcement. "Bail reduced, case under review." Serafina saw Director Chen's face go purple with rage, saw Morrison looking sick, saw Dante staring at her with something like hope. 2 hours later, Serafina walked out of the federal courthouse. Bail posted by accounts she didn't know existed. Brennan beside her, fending off reporters. A car was waiting. She got in. Dante was already inside. "What the hell just happened?" he asked. "I have no idea." She was shaking. "That lawyer, Brennan, I've never met him, never hired him." "I did." They both turned. In the front seat, a figure shifted, pulled down a hood. Ethan. Serafina's hand went to her waist, looking for a weapon that wasn't there. What? Easy. Ethan held up his hands. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to explain. Explain what? How you betrayed me to the feds? How you've been cooperating? I've been playing them. Ethan's voice was steady, certain. The cooperation was fake. The immunity deal was fake. All of it. That's impossible. I saw the documents. You saw what Director Chen wanted you to see. Ethan pulled out a laptop, opened it. 6 months ago, when I discovered what you'd really been doing, the money laundering, the bribes, all of it, I panicked. I was going to turn you in, save myself, be the smart one for once. He typed rapidly. But then I realized something. The evidence Marcus had collected, it was too perfect, too comprehensive. Nobody's that good at covering their tracks and that bad at hiding them simultaneously. What are you saying? I'm saying Marcus was sloppy on purpose, was building a case that looked airtight but had holes, because his brother needed a conviction, not truth. Ethan turned the laptop around, showed them files. So I hired my own forensic team, had them analyze everything, and they found the alterations, the falsifications, the manufactured evidence. Serafina stared at the screen. Why didn't you tell me? Because you'd already left, already married Dante, already moved on. His voice cracked slightly. And because I owed you, for everything I did, for how I betrayed you. This was the only way I could make it right. So you pretended to cooperate. I fed them information that seemed useful but was actually garbage, kept them focused on the wrong things while Brennan built the real case. Ethan closed the laptop. The feds thought they had me, thought I was their star witness, but I was buying you time. Dante was studying Ethan carefully. Why? Why what? Why do this? You were safe, had immunity, could have walked away clean. Why risk it for her? Ethan looked at Serafina, really looked. Because she deserved better than what I gave her, better than betrayal, better than being thrown away. He swallowed hard. I can't undo what I did. Can't take back the affair or the lies or any of it, but I could do this. Could give her a chance. Serafina felt something tight in her chest. The case? Will it be dismissed? Most of it. There's enough real evidence to charge you with some financial crimes, tax evasion, probably a few years in minimum security. But the big charges, the life sentence stuff, that'll disappear once the falsification comes out. Ethan pulled out another folder. I also found something else. About Lena. Lena's dead, Serafina said. I know, but before she died, she made a backup plan. A dead man's switch. If she didn't check in every 48 hours, certain files would be released to the media. He handed over the folder. I found the switch, disabled it. These are the files she was going to release. Serafina opened the folder. Inside were photographs, documents, evidence of crimes far worse than anything she'd been charged with. Murders, human trafficking, things that would have destroyed not just her family, but dozens of others. She was going to burn down the entire underworld, Ethan said quietly. Take everyone with her. I made sure that didn't happen. Why are you showing me this? Serafina asked. Because you need to know what you're really up against. The FBI is the least of your problems. There are people, powerful people, in these files. People who will kill you just for knowing these secrets exist. He met her eyes. You need to disappear, Sarah. Really disappear. Not just hide, not just lay low. Vanish completely. I can't do that. My father... Your father's going to prison regardless. The charges against him are separate, based on evidence that's not falsified. Ethan's voice was gentle. He's done. But you still have a chance. Take it. The car pulled up to a private airfield. A plane was waiting. Where does it go? Dante asked. Wherever you want, Ethan said. I've set up new identities for both of you. Bank accounts, passports, everything you need to start over. He pulled out 2 envelopes, handed them over. You can't come back. Can't contact anyone from your old life. Can't be Serafina Moretti or Mrs. Rinaldi ever again. But you can live. Serafina looked at the envelope in her hands, at the plane, at Dante beside her. And you? She asked Ethan. I'm going back, facing whatever charges stick. Probably lose the company. Probably spend some time in prison. He smiled sadly, but at least I'll be able to sleep at night. Finally. Ethan, don't. He held up a hand. Don't thank me. Don't forgive me. Just go. Please. Before they figure out what I've done. Serafina stood there, torn. This man had destroyed her, had betrayed her in the worst possible way, had thrown her away like she was nothing, and now he was saving her life.
I don't understand you, she said finally. Neither do I. He opened the car door. But I understand this. You were the best thing that ever happened to me, and I fucked it up. So now I'm unfucking it, as much as I can. She got out of the car. Dante followed. They walked toward the plane. Halfway there, Serafina stopped, turned back. Ethan was still standing by the car, watching. I don't forgive you, she called out. I know, but... She struggled for words. I hope you find whatever you're looking for, whoever you're supposed to be. You too, he said quietly. Then he got back in the car, drove away. Serafina watched until the taillights disappeared. Ready? Dante asked beside her. She looked at him. This man she'd married for strategy, for power, for everything except love. No, she said honestly. But when has that ever stopped me? They boarded the plane. 6 weeks later, in a small coastal town in New Zealand that tourists rarely visited, a woman who called herself Sarah Reed sat in a cafe watching the ocean. She had short blonde hair now, different colored eyes, contacts. She wore simple clothes, looked like a grad student or maybe a yoga instructor. Nothing special. Nothing worth noticing. Beside her, a man who called himself Daniel sat reading a newspaper. Dark hair, beard. He could have been a contractor or a fisherman. Something normal. Something forgettable. They'd been in New Zealand for 3 weeks. Before that, Argentina. Before that, somewhere in Southeast Asia. Never staying long. Never putting down roots. Just existing. Breathing. Learning how to be people without power. Sarah's phone buzzed. A secure app. A message from a lawyer back in the States. Your father's trial concluded. Sentenced to 40 years. No parole. She stared at the message for a long time. Vittorio Moretti would die in prison. Would never breathe free air again. Would never see the ocean or taste good wine or hold his daughter. She should have felt something. Grief and anger, something. But all she felt was tired. News? Daniel asked. He'd stopped calling himself Dante weeks ago. Had become someone new, someone quieter. Papa's sentenced. 40 years. He reached across the table. Took her hand. Didn't say anything. What was there to say? They sat like that for a while, watching the waves, watching people walk by with normal lives and normal problems. Do you regret it? Sarah asked finally. Leaving. Giving up everything. Daniel thought about it, really thought. No, he said. That life, it wasn't sustainable. We would have ended up dead or in prison eventually. This way, he gestured at the cafe, the ocean, the quiet town. This way we get to live. This isn't living, it's hiding. Maybe, but hiding beats dying. He squeezed her hand. And besides, who says we have to hide forever? She looked at him. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, he smiled slightly. We have skills, resources, knowledge. We're not powerless, Sarah. We're just regrouping. That sounds dangerous. Life's dangerous. He stood, pulled her up. Come on. I want to show you something. They walked along the beach. The sun was setting, painting everything gold and red. Daniel led her to a small house, rental property, nothing fancy. Inside, he'd set up a computer system, multiple screens, encrypted communications. I've been doing research, he said, about people like us, people who left their old lives behind but didn't stop being who they were. He pulled up files. There's a market for what we know, what we can do, consulting, security, problem solving for people who can't go to the police. You want us to become criminals again. I want us to become useful again. He turned to her. We spent our whole lives being told what to do, what the family needed, what the business required. For once, just once, I want to choose to build something that's ours, not inherited, not arranged, ours. Sarah looked at the screens, at the possibilities, at the life he was offering. It's risky, she said. Everything worth doing is. We could lose everything. Again.
We could. He moved closer. Or we could build something real, something that doesn't depend on blood or violence or fear, something that's just